All right, brother.
Are we?
I think we're good.
Are we good? Are we?
You
Are we in this?
Do I gotta kind of get right up on that thing?
I can just like.
And the chat will let us know.
Oh yeah, they'll.
If anybody needs to be turned up, if they
can't hear one of us
overpowering or anything.
Well, naturally, as it gets going, I'm for sure gonna.
You're gonna get.
I'm just gonna get so loud. It's already gonna happen. I know that for a fact.
It's already gonna happen. Jimbo,
guys,
we're here, buddy.
We made it.
I've talked about doing this for literal years, since like 2017, since I first started listening to podcasts. I was a little late to the game, but
everyone was late to the game.
We've talked about doing this since like
for weeks after we met.
Yeah, we're like, that's a podcast conversation.
Dude, this is total podcast.
That's a total podcast conversation.
And all it took was a little message saying, "Hey, we're doing this."
Well, I mean, probably
800
of those messages, but you being like, pick a date. Like, you need to pick a date.
Well, that's like,
I mean?
I know that's one of the hardest things for me is like, if I want to plan something, I need to pick a day. I need to have a day set. Because if you don't have a day set, it's really easy to kind of be like, let's do it whenever this week. Well, what if whenever this week it's Friday and all of a sudden we still haven't done it? It's like, well, whenever.
Right.
Well, now we can't whenever because I forgot about Saturday that I have to do stuff now.
Exactly. So, tell people about who you are, and you're a famous celebrity in my eyes, but not everybody knows the greatness of James.
Of good old Jimbo. So howdy everybody.
This is my first podcast ever, and I couldn't think of a better person to do it with you. So. Than with you. So go ahead and just let everybody know who you are.
So I'm James. I am a photographer. This year I ended up going full time with that. I met Mr. Taylor here about 2 years now, something like that.
It was 2020. I can't remember exactly when.
So the beginning of sometime in that year when everything hit the fan. But we met at a music video shoot. And we were just like, "Hey, man, you want to be friends?" It's like, "Yeah, I do."
Yeah.
And then from there,
we'll talk more about that stuff too. But so you're a photographer.
But I'm a photographer.
Full time as of how many months ago now?
It was back in June of 2021, so it's been 6, almost 7 months now that I.
You love to see it. Everything's going good.
Everything's going so crazy, so different. How
I definitely want to talk more about that at some point.
Changed in my life.
But yeah, so when did you first pick up a camera and decide I want to know when you first picked up a camera, because I have some questions that I kind of prepared that even in 2 years of hanging out with you that
you're still kind of
I still just have never straight up asked you these questions, or maybe I have but I forgot.
But it's good.
When did you first pick up
a
camera?
I think it was 2019. Yeah,
pull that a little closer to yourself.
2019, I had just gotten out of a relationship and I started doing this big career search. I was like, what am I going to do with my life? Because at the time I was kind of just working a regular job, just doing kind of what everyone is supposed to do. You get a job, you do this stuff, it's fine. Well, I'm like, I'm going to go look for a career because this isn't going to pay my bills for the rest of my life. So I start just talking to people and I'm like, I want to go outside, but I also don't want to be outside. And I want an office, but I also don't want an office. And it was all these really weird things that I was realizing I wanted about my job. Well, while that's happening, I decide I'm just going to buy a camera. I got a couple $100. I got spare time.
What made you want to make that decision though?
I just decided. I was like,
Really?
It was the most random.
Were you an iPhone picture taker?
I was doing iPhone pictures and nothing crazy.
Did people ever say dude?
I think one person I think was I took a picture because at the time I had this Audi and I thought it was the coolest car in the whole world.
You had an Audi?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You would never drive an Audi nowadays.
It's American or nothing.
American made.
American or nothing.
So you went from the Audi to the Challenger.
So I did.
Okay.
But I took a picture of my Audi and I posted it because I was talking to this car club at the time and posted it and someone was like, "Oh, I wish someone would take pictures of my car like that." And I was like,
"Okay."
I took that picture of my car. I might be able to take pictures of cars.
Okay.
And so I was like, I'm gonna buy a camera and I'm just gonna have fun and I'm gonna take pictures.
Did
I'm
the
gonna try
picture
to make
look better than your car looked?
It
like,
was
it like a good picture of a shitty car or something?
No, the car didn't look bad.
Okay.
It was like this sleek. It had like black wheels.
Nice.
It was pretty cool. I missed the hell out of it. It was actually like,
I won't tell Kenny.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, Kendall, but that Audi. But yeah, no. So then after that, I ended up buying a camera, and I just started taking pictures every single day. I was just like, I'm just gonna pick up this hobby, and I'm gonna get good at it. And the only way I'm gonna get good at it is if I take a picture every single thing of every single day. Like, this is what I gotta do.
So you hit the ground running with it.
Oh, dude, I just went off. I couldn't stop. I was just like, everywhere I went, we were in gas stations, and I'm hopping out of the car to get fucking sick ass fueling pictures, and like, we gotta, and they're like, hey, people are looking.
Right. You look.
Get in the car. You look insane.
Because most people, like, a lot of people that are like, hey, I want to even get a camera just for family pictures or for when I go on trips or whatever. Yeah. The camera gets a lot of use right away, or like first couple of days they're tinkering with it and watching YouTube videos, and then it might like go in a box.
And then it kind of fizzles,
it
and it's like, well, okay, so now I know how to use this when the next vacation comes. I'll be able to throw this on the... someone likes my
shirt. Volume for James is perfect there. Right on. Thank you.
Nerd.
I'm gonna try to ignore the. I'm like not look too much in the chat until later. We'll do a segment where we'll do a segment chat. If you guys want to throw some stuff and some questions in, we'll definitely get to them. So, but yeah. So, okay. So what I want to know now is, so you got the camera, you were just going crazy with it.
Yep,
was it a love at first sight thing where you knew like, this is my hobby now, this is my passion now, or like when was there a moment or a story you can tell us about where you like really knew? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And keep talking. Hang on just a second.
Whoa.
No, keep talking.
All right. So I think that I do know exactly where the passion started to like kick in. I had started taking pictures, and I kind of was jokingly throwing out there like, hey, I should have someone pay me. Like, hey, if anyone wants to hire me as a photographer, just kind of like mostly joking.
Say you were joking?
It was kind of like one of those things where it's like,
I don't think you were joking.
It was just like, hey, does anybody want to hire? It was kind of like a, come on, guys, I'm a photographer. Because that's kind of how it felt. Like, I was just like, I'm a phony, and someone's going to pay me.
So you were faking it till you made
real money kind of to do something for them. And I got hired to do a 1-year-old photo shoot. And so I'm doing this of a child. Yeah. Okay. And I took this photo where she's like has a hand up on this wall, and there's these like bumps on the wall that are all different colors, and it looks like amazing. Mm-hmm. And I zoomed in, and I could see like every part of the baby's eye, and I could see my reflection in the eye.
All that crazy
and I was
detail
like,
that cameras have.
I need to do this for everything.
Damn.
I will never take another iPhone photo and post it again, ever again, for the rest of my life. Okay.
And so it was that moment.
It was that moment that I was like, I think I'm going to do this.
What you saw in that child's eye.
That child's eye just grabbed me and pulled me in. And
yes. Okay, that helps. So that was when you were like, this is something I love doing. And
yeah, I was like, this is it. This is what I want
that I'm going to keep doing.
I want to do forever.
Yeah. And not even at that time, we're far away from being a full-time photographer.
Oh yeah,
right?
This isn't even like this. This is where I start thinking about a 10-year plan, and I start thinking, what am I going to do? Where are my goals? Where do I want to be?
And what are you doing for work at this time?
And for now, it's portraits, families.
I'm sorry.
When this was happening,
when you took this picture that made you go, okay, holy shit! Like we got something here.
Boys,
you know what I mean?
Boys. Yeah. I was doing security. I was working as undercover
loss
prevention.
Okay.
And hating my life a little bit.
Seems like so long ago now.
Yeah,
that you were doing
it does.
That. And we'll talk more about that. But so that being said, so how long did that take you from like when you first got your camera and took like your first pictures, or when you were going hard those first couple days, to where you're at now? What was the time? What was the length of time basically that it took you to go full time from like the minute you grabbed your camera?
So the minute I grabbed my camera, it was 6 months to my first client, and then that was 3.5 years, 3.5 years. No, 2.5. Like 2.5 years.
2.5 years, okay.
And then I'm out doing this full time.
Right.
Which was bananas. And I remember it was the beginning of last year that I realized that I could do it. Right. Was that I got COVID, and I found out I'm out of work for the next 2 weeks.
I remember that.
And I was like, what am I going to do, man? Like, I have bills. I'm not a late bill payer.
Well, you got a child too.
I got a kid. It's just like I got this shit to do.
You know what I mean?
Like I can't really miss 2 weeks of work right now.
Right.
And I was like, what do I do? So I was just like, well, I'm just gonna buckle down. And it was and I'd gotten I'd gotten an extra week of it because of some mix-ups, and I was like, well, time to go see if I can make some money.
Like, is this a blessing?
Is this a blessing?
I think I was kind of pressuring you too, because I knew that I knew that you had. Excuse me. I knew that you had it in you to like, because the work that you're putting out was just phenomenal, and it's like, and people, basically you kept going, dude, I just. It's like, I wish I didn't have to be here for 8 hours a day because I would think about how many clients I get. And I'm like, there we go, James. That's what I was trying to get you to see. That's the mindset. But it always came back to the like security, and it always came back to like, but I have to pay my child support. Yeah. And I have to pay my car payment, and that's $1,000 or whatever there. It's like you're I can't stuff. Like if I lose this job, I don't want to be a deadbeat dad, or I don't want to lose my car. I don't want to, know what I mean, my apartment. And so there was that worry, which I think everybody has. You know what I mean? And we as creative people, and we'll touch on this more later, but it's like we have that problem weekly where we're like, fuck, like, you know what I mean? Like,
every
I
day,
have bills, and like,
you wake up and you're like,
and I don't have
what
a
am I
steady
doing?
paycheck. You know what I mean? And I think that's really just something that you might be able to make enough money to make that worry kind of push it down a little bit, but it always kind of creeps up at some point.
It's always, you're always, every day you wake up and you're like, what am I going to do? And that's what I do every day. Like, I pick days that I work. I have an actual, like, in my head, I'm like, today's a work day. I'm going to work. I'm going to do things, like, a little different than my regular stuff. And I always think, like, what am I doing? What are you doing to push yourself out there? What are you doing to reach a client? Are you planning something? Are you scheduling? Are you booking? You need to be doing something. Are you learning? Like, anything. As long as you're consistently doing something to push yourself forward, that's a day of work. Okay. And it's like finding that time was like so weird.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just it's like it always creeps back up in the back of your mind, like, am I gonna fucking lose everything? You know what I mean?
Is everything gonna crumble out beneath my feet that I am building these stairs?
And it's like, am I gonna have to go back to work? And then I'm not gonna have time to be a photographer.
What about all these people? And now it's like I'm at a point where I have bookings all this summer for weddings, and I'm like, dude, I can't. Look at you, I can't get a job now.
You're gonna need to hire somebody eventually.
At this point, it's like I was looking at it, and it's just like I'm doing great booking weddings, and like once I get into the season of it, and I have all these weddings like up on each other, it's just gonna be a lot of work and a lot of fun, and a lot of.
How many weddings are we talking?
I think right now I have 10 weddings.
Holy shit! Your first, and this is your first, basically. I mean, depending on who you talk to, we're still in the middle of a pandemic. But it's like, in reality, we're kind of on the feels like shit's going back to normal. And people that want to get married, that were supposed to get married in 2019 or 2020, they're like, I'm not doing this postponing shit again.
Yeah, doing it.
We're getting married.
You know what I mean?
We're getting. Listen here, Bradley. We're getting married. So they're not playing around, and so this is basically your first real wedding season. As a
this is gonna be
photographer,
first real wedding season. And I'm getting
10 weddings already.
I got 10 in the books, and I'm hoping.
And we're not even out of winter yet.
And that's with I still have 2 people right now, and those are 10 people who are confirmed. Who I'm like, I know for a fact these people are having weddings. I still have other leads and stuff that I'm like.
And you get deposits for those, right? Yep. So you've already made money off of those, and it's not just. Hey dude, because that's another thing with our industry, because there's so much hey dude, I'm getting married, like, and they're talking to 7 different, they're juggling photographers, and it's like they're not committing with any of them, and so that's another thing where it's like you ask for these people for deposits, right?
Yeah, everyone, these are 10 people who have put deposits down for their day. I basically have set it up like, I don't, at this point, like, the only way to get into the calendar is if you have a deposit. And that's just because, like, I've had people flake. I've had the day ofers who I go to text them on the day of, and I'm like, weird, my iPhone.
Their wedding?
Well, it wasn't on a wedding, but it's been photo shoots, really.
Just photo shoots.
Thank God. Okay. Like, I've done weddings with no deposit, and looking back, I'm just like, bro, what were you doing?
Right.
Like, what if these people just fell off the face of the earth like the day before?
Well, and I think, and keep that thought, not to interrupt you, but it's like, I feel like a lot of people aren't comfortable with asking for deposits, right?
It's hard. It's
and
even
so, like,
now, like with the fact that every single shoot I do is deposit, I still feel awkward when I'm just like, hey, and I always try and give them an explanation. Like, this is so that I can tell other people no. This is so that you have this time.
Right.
And I'm not asking for a whole shebang. I'm asking for a tiny portion
also,
of it.
It's like, if you cancel, like, you're like,
now
that's on you. And
I have an open day.
And it's about 50-50.
Yeah.
I didn't get all my money, and you didn't get your photos.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, and I made money for the time that I spent trying to book this with you, for all the work that I rejected because I thought I was busy that day. You know what I mean?
That was the hardest thing, was to think about, I have to reject people for this day. And that's why the deposit is so important. Is like, I'm telling other people no. I have to tell people that this day is not, and it's like, if you can't put the deposit down, it sucks. Because it's like, I mean, if someone comes around and says, I have a deposit and I want this day, it's going for it. I can try and hold off for you as long as I can.
Right.
Like, if someone gives me a multi-day, I'll try and go for another day. But if ultimately it's that day.
And I feel like that just kind of speaks to like a bigger thing where like the going full time or the being a professional is kind of like a mindset thing that you don't have to have an office and a secretary and cool little invoices and like
I don't know,
all this.
The idea of Catherine is
fucking
awesome.
We have a dream. We have a dream of like having a big creative office, and we have a front desk person, and her name must be Catherine. That's part of the resume, because we'd be like, Catherine, can you schedule to throw this on my schedule? We have like a fantasy of having an assistant named Catherine. So just that's like a little insight on what he means when he says that. But other than that, it's like you don't need to have all these things to hold yourself like basically to a professional level. And it's almost kind of is faking it till you make it to a certain point with the photography thing, because in a world where there's like so many creatives and so many people that have cameras and you know, it's the market is kind of flooded with people that have cameras, and especially in an area like Portland or like in the Northwest, a lot of people are creative individuals and stuff like that. It's different. It's a way to differentiate yourself right from the gate. Like, here, boom, boom, boom. These are my policies. Like, hey, I need a deposit. Yeah. And I think sometimes it's a fragile thing, because but it's also weeding out the weak, because if you ask for a deposit and they're like, oh, dude, I'm not giving you any money right now. It's like, okay, so you're not serious about these photos. You're not serious about these. And that's okay. Yeah. And it doesn't make you a shitty client.
And you feel like you're losing a client, but you're not losing a client.
You're not losing a client.
If it's a real client, they'll come back.
They'll come back, and I would say most of the time, man, when I really go out on a limb and say this is my rate, or this is my quote, and it's like, I charge a lot. I never have ever done shit for cheap since I got a camera, and I just kind of said that to myself. Like, it's a mentality. Like, I know the work that I do, I'm going to put my life into it and my blood, sweat, and tears into it, and it's going to look great, and like, I'm worth this. It's like a self-worth thing. Yeah. And you can go to any other photographer if you want, you know what I mean? And like, they will take care of you. I'm sure you'll find great photos for less than me. And it has to kind of be if you want me, this is what it costs. And then what I found is when I go out on those limbs and I say, give me a deposit, pay me this, whatever, I would say 8-9 times out of 10, that's impressive to like a client. And they're like, wow, this guy's gonna handle business. This guy's serious. Yeah. And the reason I bring it up is because, you know, the point of me doing like a podcast and stuff, I'm really just gonna talk about whatever I want to whoever I want and whoever I like and think is a good character or a good person and has choose your character. Cool. But I the point is like a big thing that I want people to take from it is kind of like that you can create freedom for yourself with, you know, and I know there's a lot of Gary V people talking about, but he's like a billionaire. So it's like, and I don't have like a ton of money. You know what I mean? We don't have a ton of money, but we're rich in that we're time rich.
Oh yeah,
we're time millionaires. That's because we have time. We've created time. You know, created like an employment situation where we can have that time to do stuff for ourselves. And to me, it's important for me to, I feel like the best way I can like get back is to talk about like how attainable that is, because it's not some crazy, you don't have to it's not like a 1 in a million thing. I think you can figure something out, especially if you're a creative person, if you are a musician or a photographer or an artist, you can definitely try to figure out. I'm not sure exactly. I can't give you specific advice unless you're a photographer. I don't think I can really give you like specific advice to how to start a graphic design
business.
It's
all about how you got to look at your own,
But generally speaking, I think it's a mindset.
Well, yeah, because when I got into this, I wasn't some proficient camera guy. I didn't have all this information on cameras. I didn't have all this information on editing. And all I had was this loose mindset of this is how cameras work. This is what editing is. And then the idea behind it of I am an artist, which means whatever I make is kind of my style, and that's what I need to sell, and that's what I need to market. So it's finding this is what I do. Now I need to figure out who I need to bring this to for them to pay me for it.
Right. Exactly. So I just think it's important, like what you said about not being a pro for 10 years. I feel like there's these and honestly, I'm not even somebody that has photography influences. I think you talk to some people that study photography and stuff, and they're like, oh, so-and-so. I don't know a single professional photographer's name. I don't, except for Peter McKinnon. YouTube people I know.
Yeah, but
you
don't have someone that you're I want to be like them.
No, or I didn't read books about photography. I didn't go to school for photography.
I did read books about photography, but not.
And I mean, I think that's awesome if you do. You know what I mean? But to me, I just needed it to be simplified into how do I use this thing, and how do I make shit look cool?
Yeah. And how do I do things? What do these things do? And what?
Yeah, exactly. We've talked about trying to eventually teach some do lessons online or something, because I do think it's so teachable. I think a lot of it is teachable, and I think it's a bit of a financial hurdle to get into it, and then once you get that engine, the ball rolling. But that's just for photography. But the point being is you don't need to be some esteemed pro. Yeah. You don't even need a year of experience to start making money with photography.
I started making that right away. It's just you got to.
I don't think everything is like that. And I don't want to try to say anything.
Yeah, whatever it is. If you play ukulele, get out there and play ukulele.
If you give me a paintbrush, I'm fucked.
Oh, me too.
I'm gonna draw a stick figure with a paintbrush.
My stick figures are rough. That's how. It's not good. But the legs never connect. The arms are always off even.
Right.
The fact that I can work a camera is.
So the other reason I wanted you to do this first, and this might be kind of the main thing of the podcast episode, is so you're somebody who I always hit up, or somehow you hit me up at the exact moment when I need you to hit me up, when I'm feeling creatively
creative
shit.
Block. That's the first thing on my notes.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's the one thing that's starred on my notes. But so
did you write creative block too?
I did write.
No,
creative.
You did not.
I wrote creative.
No,
block.
You did not.
I literally wrote creative block.
First thing on the notes.
Wavelength.
It says baby. Creative blocks. Creative blocks, everybody.
Wavelength. Love it. So, creative blocks just writers, for people that haven't heard that term before. It's writer's block for people that
it's if you want to paint a painting and you can't figure out what you're painting, or every painting you hit, you're just I hate it. I don't know why.
Exactly. And so for me, James is somebody who literally, he might be one of the only people that really can pull me out of a funk, and he's probably so annoyed with me because it's I'm always in a funk. It's I'm that friend that's always have a sob story, but it's we live in Oregon and the sun isn't out all the time, and for me that kind of fucks with my head a little bit. I think I'm finding out in the recent years, and it's for me, you're somebody that I always you'll be dude, I want to hear this shit. Grab your camera.
Get your shit.
Grab your camera. We're gonna go find something. We're gonna go drive somewhere, and even if we don't find something, we're gonna get out of the house and we're gonna take our cameras.
We're gonna drive to. And we're gonna drive to St. Helens.
St. Helens. Oh, that was terrible.
And we're just gonna flush away an entire day.
And literally, all we got from St. Helens was that shitty shot of the train tracks, and it was just
oh my god.
It was just a shot of the train tracks.
Hey, photographers, stop taking photos of train tracks.
Yeah.
I have like 50 of them.
I think it's like a rite of passage, though. It's like a coming of age. Like, take photos of train tracks and then stop.
Take photos of
train tracks and then stop.
They're the definition, like the 101 lesson for leading lines. Just go to train tracks, put a train track in each corner, and take a picture. Doesn't that picture look great? All right, you're never going to post one like that, so move on.
Right.
You figured it out. You nailed leading lines.
Yeah.
Now we're on to the next thing.
Congratulations. You got the line.
You got the line. Yeah.
Like, you're done. But yeah, you've always been able to pull me out of creative block. But the reason I wanted to bring you on and talk to you about it is just kind of because I feel like maybe those trips do something for you, but I always feel like the victim that needs help in those situations when you're picking me up and we're driving around and doing stuff. And I'm like, I feel like what does James do for creative block? Because you're literally pulling me out of quicksand, and I'm like, who pulls James out of quicksand, or what pulls James out of quicksand when he feels like shit? And like, how do you have that kind of constant energy? And I guess you're just that guy.
I guess I could kind of see that, because I do. I mean, every week I probably
do you have creative
shoot 3
block,
or 4.
or do you,
I have creative. I'm having creative block right now.
I am too. I mean, that's why I wanted to bring you on. But it's like, do you just kind of run through it with like a bulldozer and just say, I have to get out of here?
Well, it kind of depends, because I only get creative block for 2 reasons, and I'm trying to figure out what the reasons is this time. So either I get creative block because I had a bad shoot.
Okay. And
a bad shoot can put up a whole wall for me. It can like shut me down, like put the camera in the bag, put the bag under the bed, don't even fucking look at it. Like we're gonna take a little break. We're gonna play some video games. We're gonna figure out your fucking life right now. You're gonna question everything.
Sometimes a break is good.
Well, yeah, and then
sometimes it's good to take a break.
And then the other creative block that I get is from overworking. And a lot of the times it'll happen with weddings is if I have a big wedding where I have like 4,000 or 5,000 photos to go through.
Right. And 800 to 1,000 that you're actually going to edit after you sift through 5,000.
Well, I have a different workflow.
Oh, yeah.
I actually edit while I sift through. So I basically just do it in one fluid motion.
Yeah.
Build a whole thing. That's for later.
Yeah. We'll talk
but
about
that. But if I work myself too much, and I kind of handle both of them differently. If I have a bad shoot, what I'll do is I'll get someone who is a professional model, who has professional model experience, and I'll run through the shoot. Okay. I'll do the whole thing again. I'll just do like a reboot, and I'll kind of like scrub it away and be like,
all the edits.
It's okay. I'll do a whole nother, like if I do a paid shoot, it's usually a paid shoot, because if a free shoot it doesn't go well, then I kind of just am like meh.
Right.
But when a paid shoot goes,
because you'll do free shoots. Not everything you do is paid.
Yeah. Not everything you do is paid.
You'll do free shoots if just to find inspiration.
Yep. To find inspiration.
Flex muscles and get reps in.
Well, and a lot of the times it's like there's not stress with free shoots, and that lack of stress allows me to be creative and try things that I wouldn't normally try. Because if I'm doing family photos, now's not the time to be playing around. Now's not the time to get let's try this long exposure,
right,
and we're going to send these birds off too to see if they get these leading lines in the... No. It's like, no. But if you have a model, it's like, hey, I'm going to take this picture, and I'm going to send it on a 30-second exposure and throw a road flare behind you. Let's see what happens. Right. Then that's fine, because we're out there to try and create something that's...
You're not paying them for their time.
We're both just trying to get some really cool stuff.
You just want content at that point.
But... using models a lot of the times like that will definitely grab me and pull me from the funk, just because I'm able to do more of what I want, kind of get away from that. And it's really just like forcing myself to get up and say, no, you're going to go and you're going to take photos, or I'm going to go hike in the wilderness for 7 hours looking for
that shot,
some random animal or some random thing.
Well, and you do a good job too of like switching over to your macro lens where you can see stuff really close up, and like you'll be like taking landscape photos and then like take a picture of like a leaf with some dewdrops on it.
Yeah.
That like you get the variety of shots in, and that's like something that I try to do when I go out with you, but I just like, I'm so kind of like locked into what, what I set out to do when I leave. I'm like, I want to get like that shot of those like green mountains with the fog that I took with
trees and fog, baby. Trees and fog
adventures. Yeah, Grumpy, I don't know if you can find that on my photo Instagram, but there's a shot of like some fog with like some green mountainy kind of green humpy mountain things. And when I left that morning, I told you, I was like, James, I want fog and green mountains. And we literally pulled over on the side of the road. And how fun was that fucking trip, dude?
Oh, dude.
Because it was like like when I'm traveling with my girlfriend or something, or with other friends that aren't, photographers, it's like I can definitely like be like, hey guys, hold up, let me take a few pictures here. But
you can't.
Then it starts like burning. It like, you can feel it like back here. You're like,
they're
ready to go.
You start checking phones.
Yeah, you're like, they're ready to go, dude. They're ready to go.
They're ready to get out of here.
And so with you though, we literally would just pull over on the side of the road. And like, we saw some shit and we were like, stop the car.
Yeah,
we would just get out. And it's like, I want to do that with you in like New York City.
Yeah,
I want to do that with you. I want to go on these trips that like McKinnon did, and like these other YouTubers do it
Seattle
together
randomly, and we just picked a day to go up to Seattle. And I had people tell me they're like, those building shots you took in Seattle were some of my favorite photos you've ever taken.
And we have a funny thing too, where you don't care about taking pictures of buildings, and you don't like it, and you think it's boring.
I think it's dumb.
That's what I like love to do. And then it's probably my favorite photos I've taken are buildings. I'm trying to like get away from it because I so easily just slaughter a building and make it look like incredible. Yeah. And then you take pictures of people. For a living. I don't like taking pictures of people.
You hate it.
I have a weird thing about it. I feel like they have like, there's nostrils that flare and there's hair that blows and eyes that blink at different times, and it's like all these variables that I don't like, where like a building just stays there, and it's like, and then you can get a bad angle on a person, which like that's like the last thing I want to do, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so I haven't had the experience. I want to try because like the photos that you've taken recently, like the last couple pictures that you posted, of that girl just sitting, you guys were like on a bench out
she was sitting on a bench, and it was downtown Albany.
Downtown Albany,
there,
and it just looks like Vogue magazine to me. And I'm not even gassing you up, because like the tones are there, and like you got the orange teal thing kind of going on, that like muted green tone, which I know we love crushing those greens.
Crush the green.
But it's like, those pictures, I'm like, fuck, I want to take a picture of a person that makes me feel what I feel when I look at your work, and I have taken like pictures of my girlfriend that I think I'm like, damn, I fucking nailed that.
Yeah.
Like that one that I took of her, where she's like shaking her hair out. Like I was, and we were out just walking around with her, and I was like, yes, like that's, I'm like, so I see the potential. I'm not going to lie to myself and be like, and limit myself and be like, I don't take pictures of people. But it's just like, I'm like,
it's hard. Well,
like somebody's like, hey, I need pictures of me for this and that. And I'm like, hit up James. You know what I mean? Like I literally send people your way because I don't want to take their picture. You know what I mean? And it's definitely something that I acknowledge I need to work through, because it's business, and it's good experience to be able to do that. And but that's a funny thing where like we literally love and hate the exact opposite
so
things.
Much. The amount of times people will talk to me, because when we do this, I feel like all we get
scoot in a little bit
all day,
you can like sit back and
is
you don't have to just be comfortable.
All we get all day is unwarranted advice from people about how to do business. I feel like every day I get at least one. Have you thought about, and the number one thing that everyone always says is, have you thought about real estate photography
or doing weddings?
And I'm like,
no, I've never thought about shooting a picture of a wedding before.
Never fucking what? But houses, buildings, they stress me out, man. Like maybe a little thing of a building, or like a little like I took a really cool picture of the Hilton in downtown Portland, and it was all old timey, and the letters were really crispy, but it was a corner of a building. Like if you put me and you're like, James, take a picture of this whole ass building, I'd be like, I'm gonna call Taylor. He's got the wide angle shit. He's got the LAW, and he can do some really cool drone stuff for you.
I do love the drone stuff.
We have, ladies and gentlemen, we have an Air Force pilot over here for a fucking drone operator.
The people may see my drone work someday. It's literally, I have so much drone shit sitting on a hard drive.
Start a whole page that's just dedicated to your fucking videos.
Right now for how much drone stuff I have that no one
Taylor doesn't like to do his homework.
I don't like to do anything. It's horrible.
Meanwhile,
that's why I play video games on Twitch for 100 hours a week, because I'm trying to make money doing that, because I don't want to do anything else. But no, we're working on it. This is a big start for me, because I honestly like went to bed like more excited than I've ever gone to bed.
It's like Christmas
in the last, I can't remember how long, to to do this. I'm so excited to do this with you. You know what I mean? Because we've been talking about this, and I just kind of woke up that morning and I was like, dude, like I want to do this. And you're like, well, let's fucking do it then for real on Wednesday. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And here we are, and it's happening. And this is kind of that like seal. And it's like people, you know, you see those memes, that inspirational quote memes that are like your first song is gonna suck. Your first podcast is gonna suck, but it just gets better. And
one of the first Instagram posts I ever did when I started photography was a quote from Adventure Time of all fucking things. And I was
you are so cringy
dude,
sometimes.
I love it. I'm shameless. I am shameless to a T. But it was, you got to suck at something before you're good at it. And I was like, that is the most accurate.
Thanks, Jake.
Like, yeah, Time. You see, that's why you can't cringe, because you knew. I didn't say who in Adventure Time. I just said Adventure Time, and you knew it was Jake.
I mean, who else in Adventure Time would say something like more? He's like the moral voice of that show. I've never watched it. I don't watch cartoons.
I've definitely never watched it. Definitely haven't seen every single episode.
So that's how. So anyway, going back to creative block though, that's how you get away from it. Is just you.
I force myself.
You force yourself.
I force myself to go out and I shoot, because originally the first ever bad shoot I had, it was awful. I got hired. I was paid $70 for an hour of work, and that hour of work I had to drive downtown. I got there to this restaurant to shoot a birthday, and the restaurant.
Birthday at a restaurant.
It was like one of the ones by the Pioneer Square up at the top. Well, they have a media person that you have to confirm with before you get there.
At the mall?
It was not at the mall, but it's one of the buildings that have like a rooftop.
Oh, okay.
And they wanted pictures at that because it was a really nice top.
I get it now.
Well, they didn't check in and say, hey, we have a photographer that we hired to be here. So they're like, yeah, he can't take pictures up here today. And they were like, what? And they're like, yeah, like, and I was like, hey, like, and this is when I first started.
When we went to the Society Hotel and they needed us to like fill out this thing.
And we're just like, we'll just go. It's fine. So something like that. And I was like, okay. And at the time, this was right at the start of my photography stuff. So I was like, customer service number one, I'll wait for you guys to finish dinner. Right. I'll kill some time downtown. When you're done with dinner, we'll get a few pictures. It'll be great. And so they eat their dinner, and it is now 10 o'clock at night. And it is completely dark.
No.
And I am standing in the middle of Pioneer.
And you shoot on a Canon.
And I shoot on a Canon. This
you
was
don't
with
have
my
night vision.
This was like $100 I paid for this camera. You want to know how it was made in 2001?
This is already just such a bad client.
I'm trying to figure. And I'm like,
him to eat dinner.
I was like, the audacity.
Did you eat at least?
No. No. So I'm upset. You know how I get when I don't eat. I'm sitting there.
Dude, you are so cranky.
I get so cranky.
Holy shit.
And it's only because I eat one time in the day. Really.
I cannot imagine you.
And like if I miss that meal, it just is like. But
oh my lord.
They come down, we take some pictures, they kind of look like shit. I'm kind of like,
you're already unhappy with
them. I'm already unhappy, but I'm like, whatever.
No amount of post editing.
They're so warm, and I didn't realize the color temperature mattered so much.
Oh yeah.
And then they're like, hey, can we also go to this next bar where we're gonna go, so you can take some pictures of us out there?
Oh my God,
and I was like, yeah, that's fine. That's okay, dude. Yeah. You know what? After this, you guys can all just take turns beating me up. You guys want to do that too? You guys just want to? Exactly. You guys just want to jump me? Like we can do that.
You can take my wallet after.
Yeah, after this, I'm just gonna give you all of this too. So also no deposits, and I did not. And at the time, I was not collecting money the day of the shoot. So,
oh my lord.
I was collecting after I edited them, after I delivered.
Which, by the way, folks, any photographer people listening,
don't do that.
Change your sales pitch. There's no option here. You pay me half up front before we even get there as a deposit, and then you pay me half before I take a single picture, because you don't want to be chasing people down for money after you edit photos. That is just a fucking nightmare, and I think a lot of people get screwed by that. You know what I mean? And I don't hear it talked about enough.
No.
I don't care if you just got your camera and it's your first photo shoot. You're charging $50 for it. $25 deposit, Cash App me, Venmo me, we all have it. And then $25 when we meet up and say, what's up, dude? What's up, dude? $25. And then you start, the first shutter clicks.
I'll take pictures. I'll take the pictures. But I won't send a single edit. I won't even touch them. I won't even upload them to my computer until I get that money. And I'm like, I can format my card.
Yeah.
In an hour of taking photos is practice. But
even still, yeah.
But you send me. But you send me.
Before we leave that shoot,
it's figured out.
Yeah.
It's solved.
Because I'm not chasing you down for edits.
We don't do that.
You know what I mean? And I'm a professional. I'm not gonna not give you your photos.
No, yeah, exactly.
And that's just you. If you trusted me to take them and edit them, you should trust me
that I'm going to deliver them.
I'm not going to not give them to you.
Yes.
So that's huge advice. But anyway, I'm sorry. Continue your story. So you were not charging for shoots. You waited for them to eat dinner.
They ate dinner. I waited through it.
Can you come to the second location and take more photos?
And I was, of course, because I'm young, dumb, and you were a doormat. This was like my third client ever, and I was like, yeah, I can do that. And I follow them to the second place, take a couple of more shitty photos, and I'm like, all right, guys, well, enjoy the rest of your night. I'm gonna go edit these, and so I go home and I edit them, and it takes me like 3 or 4 days, and it's kind of gross. And I was like, there's 20 photos ish, and they're okay. And a part of me is kind of like, you paid $70 fucking bucks. I told you I was new.
Right.
You can't fucking be upset. And I send them.
But were you also kind of like, these guys are paying me $70?
There was definitely well, this is my first. This is like one of my first stranger shoots too. Yeah.
Oh, with people you didn't know.
I didn't know them. I met them online.
Real paid shoot from a client. This is your first client.
And I just biffed it.
And you unluckily
face in the dirt.
You didn't. You know who biffed it?
They
harder?
did. They biffed it harder. Now looking at it,
the worst if you were to ever in the history of life.
If I get there and they say, sorry, photographer's not allowed to be there, I'm like, sweet, I'll take the rest of my money right now.
Right.
Because you just wasted all of this time.
Exactly.
But now I also tell people.
And it's like, we can go take pictures down there if you want.
Yeah, we do that right now.
Right. Yeah.
But you are not.
Till whatever.
Yeah. You want to go take photos? We can do a few photos right now and you can push your dinner.
Right.
But I'm not, unless you want to pay me an extra amount.
There has to be a level of you fucked up.
Well, yeah. And that's just it. It's that there's a mutual respect. It's like, if I fuck up, I'm going to admit it. I'm going to try and rectify. Right, if something happened and I didn't say something,
if you don't like
the edits, I'll re-edit your photo. And I had one where
I'll re-edit them 5 times.
I did a photo shoot for a client, and they paid me a decent chunk for this little time slot, and they didn't like how the ending photos came out of the family ones. And I was like, well, that was about an hour of time, so to make up for it, I'll just give you a free family photo shoot. Right? That's kind of it's like I fucked up because I didn't tell you that I needed better lighting. And I kind of realized that. I was like, that's my bad.
How far into shoots? What number of shoot is this? 10th paid shoot?
This one was recent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But that's why I'm I know where my mistakes were. And I was like, that was on me. It's not on you guys. But always learning. Yeah. 3 years later and I still feel like I know nothing.
Right.
But all it takes is a couple of bad shoots. That first bad shoot that I had that made me put down the camera. And I was just like, what are you doing? Oh, yeah. So then I tried to collect money from him after I sent all the edits. And then I edited more for him because they didn't like the original ones as much. So I edited them. I gave him 30 photos that I had to really shove through to try and get.
How many hours are we talking for the $70? For the $70, if you had to ballpark it.
Probably
hours of work. How many hours of work?
Probably 10 to 15, somewhere in that range of just sitting down on a computer and trying to figure out what the fuck I'm doing. For $70.
But hey, getting paid to take photos. It's so like a music thing where it's listen, there's a lot of exposure here for you.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Where
so many people would
come play this show for free. If anyone, a lot of exposure.
If anyone starts out with, I know you're still trying to build your portfolio. My instant response is, portfolio's built.
Yeah,
like a brick house. That's why I'm here. We're ready to go.
A brick house. I love it. So you try to collect money from these guys, and they still weren't paying you and asking for more edits.
For 2 days. I don't know if you ever shit your pants, but that was the closest I've ever been. Was because on day 2, I texted him again, and I was like, "Hey man, we had an agreement. You owe me fucking money. You owe me $70."
You were ready to call the mafia.
You owe me.
Call Tony. Give my $70
fucking
one way or another. You know what I mean?
You owe me a brand new PS5 game. All right, let's get this money in the bank.
But you got your $70.
And then he sends it to me without saying a word. Just Cash App. Never talk to him again. And I was like, man, like maybe later in life, like if I ever see him, what would I say? And I'm like, I'd probably tell him to sell his busted ass Infinity and pay more for a photographer next time.
Oh my God. So so this kind of leads me to my next thing, because you told me recently, before we agreed even on doing the podcast, it's like I'm having issues with creative block like I always am. I'm a broken record, and you're probably, I can't believe you're not just like, dude, quit being a bitch at this
just
point.
Shut up.
Which I'm thankful for, because I really do, like, you pull me out of the trenches sometimes, dude. You know what I mean? And it's a big deal.
Like that trip to Bend, man. That was
dude,
a trench puller for me.
And I needed it because I got back from tour and like I was depressed. There was no mission anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like a Marine that, you know, I was like, there's no food to eat every day, and there's no metal show to play, so I feel like empty inside. And then the weather was shitty, and it's like, and so it was just, I was in a slump, and you were like, let's go, dude, let's go. We haven't hung out in a month, let's fucking go. And so, but then the other day you told me that that you were like, I don't know, dude, I just like hate everything I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
I'm over here looking at your pictures like you're peaking right now. Like we are at a fucking, you know,
like
if you were a business and it was my business and I was talking to my investors, I'd be like, listen, our growth is going on an exponential rate. We are through the roof right now. You know what I mean?
And I'm just sitting here.
I would be telling my investors to give me more money because business is going good. And you're also working a lot more than I am, because I'm in this weird creative slump and I'm trying to get the Twitch channel going, and I'm doing other shit, and I'm like maybe trying to move or something. I don't know, what I'm doing yet. And so it's like I'm not really seeking out a ton of clients, and I'm like I feel bad about it. I feel like a piece of shit. Like I should be working more. I should be out there grinding, hitting the emails harder and sending stuff to people. But I'm just like, I don't want to. And it's like, if I don't want to create shit, I probably shouldn't force myself to create shit, because then I'm going to create shitty shit, right?
Yeah, that's why you got to do
this is helping me,
the fun stuff for yourself.
Right. And then kind of, which we'll talk, I actually have that written down to talk about that in a minute too. But another reason I want to talk to you is because right before we got together, you're like, dude, I hate everything I'm doing right now. I feel like I need to step it up.
I felt like you it's funny because you're the second person. I told a few people that who had asked me, because they were complimenting me on my work, and I was just like, you know what? All I can think when I'm looking at this is like, sure, that's fine, but do better. That's not enough. And I have this overhead feeling of like knowing that there's a next level, and now it's like I feel myself plateauing, and I need to figure out where that next step is. And usually what happens is I'll start to feel the plateau, and then I'll push and I'll get something, and it'll like. So like I feel like
scratch that itch. It's like a dopamine thing.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, okay.
And it's like, there it is, and then I just break through, and all of a sudden now I know the next thing about, I know how to do this now, or
Right. And so, what's making you feel like, as somebody who's doing great, you've got weddings booked out the wazoo, you've got trips planned, you've got money in the bank, the bills are paid. It's like, what's making you feel like you suck? Because you just literally told me via text, like, I just feel like I suck.
It's true.
And I'm like, dude, okay, first of all, if you sucked, we wouldn't be you wouldn't be here. You know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't be where you are today. Like, you'd still be here. I'd still be your friend if you sucked at photography.
You just tell me that I sucked every day. Like, you know what, dude? Maybe you shouldn't quit your job.
It would probably be my fault if you sucked at that point, because then I should have told you a long time ago.
You're like, yeah, bro.
Which is another thing that I need to write a note down, actually. But yeah, answer that. It's like, what is making you feel when you look at your own work, which is stellar? You can all go to James's Instagram.
Yeah, it's Jimothy445.
Yeah, it's Jimothy445. Grumpy, maybe you can link it in the chat if you're not doing anything. But your work is phenomenal, and it only gets better. You don't take steps backwards. So what's making you feel this way? What are you internalizing?
That's a good question, because
I think a lot of creative people run into this. That's why I want to try I want to try to wrestle with it, because it's like, I feel like I run into that too a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, but not as much as you, and I'm not working as much, doing as much. I'm not as successful as you are right now. I think success comes in waves, and it goes up and down, and it's like you're you're dominating right
There's
now. There's
definitely some strides going. Yeah, I got, strides, and it is weird, especially because, like, I'm booking clients, and I'm getting messages regularly, and I'm even, like, to a point where I start getting worried. I'm like, I'm not going to be able to fit clients into my schedule because people are wanting to double up. I'm looking at days where it's like, I have weekends in June that I'm like, I'm not going to have a single weekend if this is how it works. And I'm only halfway through January, and I already have June, like, weekends booked.
6 months out, baby.
Like, this
You're
is
6
nuts.
months out, baby.
This
That's
is
what
nuts.
I'm talking about. And you told me you couldn't do it. I gotta work security.
I gotta save for 8 hours and make less than $100 for a day of work.
Look at stepping over $1 to pick up a dime, brother.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's a success story right there. But what do you think it is? And even if you don't know, you can try to figure it out.
I feel like part of it, like, I start to look at, I definitely have an issue with comparing myself to other photographers who I see.
I think you consume a little too much on Instagram.
I 100% do.
Like, I think you're sitting there looking at Peter McKinnon and these.
Well, I don't like sit there and like look, but what happens is as I'm in there, I'll see something and I'll start to kind of, which is how I started doing better, was I would see something and I'd be like, I want to do something like that.
Right.
Well, now I'm hitting a point where I want to do something better than what I'm seeing. And to do better than what I'm seeing, I don't want to do what they're doing. I want to do something completely different.
Okay.
And it's the hardest thing to try and figure out, because for like, now I'm a couple days in and I'm like, I'm starting to take the same picture. I'm starting to take all the same pictures. This is turning into a routine. All of these work, they're good. I'm like, I would rate like all of my last shoots like 7, 8 out of 10s.
They look great.
But I'm like, I need to hit 9s. I need to hit 10s. I don't want to be this guy who's in, Portland doing great. He does great work. No, I want to be like, hey, this guy is a fucking force, and he is someone that you need to hire, and that you need to like his work is phenomenal. And it's like, and now it's like, I need to figure out what steps I need to do. And it's like, I'm looking at like, I'm going to get some different gear. I'm going to change up what I'm doing with my day-to-days. I'm going to start hitting this different schedule. Like for 2022, I'm planning on hitting every single park that I can. That's like a huge like national thing for Oregon. Every single big thing in the nature I want to hit. So I'm like, that's going to be step 1 to getting better. Step 2 is going to be like, I need to focus more on this other part of my journey. I want to do more wildlife stuff. And it's like, I need to get better at that. I need to spend 15, 16,
You should be
17.
working for National Geographic right now. And to think about where you could be with a $10,000 sniper rifle lens.
Oh, if I had one of those, it'd be done.
A picture of a puma from a mile and a half away.
Yeah.
Like, that's where we need you. We need you in the back of a Humvee in Africa.
Literally.
We need you like
just
with a translator.
through.
We need you looking like Ace Ventura out there. with the camera. And you would look like that too.
I would
with
rock
the Hawaiian
it.
shirt out there.
Just
you would be.
shirts.
If Ace Ventura had a camera, that needs to be you.
That'd be me.
Because you take some serious pictures of that. But what if that feeling of like, I need to take it to the next level. What if that is just because you know how people talk about musicians and they talk about other artists, and they're like, once you feel like you've made it and you're done learning, then you failed, right?
Yeah.
And so is this just kind of growing pains of being
of like just want like feeling? I definitely feel like it's probably
I think you're a very driven individual and to the point where your drive kind of can overflow and overflow onto me when I need it, and other people that you inspire, you know what I mean? So I think maybe you're just so full of drive that you're like, I need to do better. And it's like, do you think you maybe make that up in your head a little bit? And like, do you think you pour gasoline on like everyone always needs to be learning and doing better, but do you think you might be a little overcritical of yourself? Do you think you do it subconsciously on purpose to keep your engine gassed up is what I mean?
I can see that, yeah. Like, I definitely have that feeling of like, it's a regular feeling where it's like, yeah, will I ever take that perfect photo where I'm like, this is like, and of course I'm like, at first I'm like, yeah, of course. And it's like, no, you're not if you keep shooting like this. And then it's like, well, that's just like this whole question of like, what is perfect? And then that's the whole fucking
right. Which is perfect
like,
is unattainable.
At this point, we're just going to take acid and then go on that whole fucking rabbit hole.
Right. Well, with me, I feel that same way almost like photo to photo, which is why I don't get more done and why I don't edit more, because like I'll start editing for a while and I'll be like, I fucking hate like compared to like somebody who's painting a painting on canvas and they just like go fuck it, and they just like they just throw the canvas and then they go walk away and do something else. And like sometimes that's where I'm at, and it's like I'm not like just trying to over edit. My edits aren't too crazy, like, you know, overly edited, but it's just like what there's like an endless opportunity of things, endless amount of things you can do with the image when you have it in Lightroom or whatever program you're using to edit. And it's like, for me, that endless black hole of like possibility. I'm like, but it could look like this and it could look like that, and what if I did? And it's like I get too stuck on that. Even I see Desiree's here. Desiree was on one of my photo streams. Desiree was on one of my...
Hey, Desiree.
Yeah. What's up, Des? He was on one of my photo streams, and he was like, okay, dude, you need to finalize this image and move on. And I was like...
You like to tweak.
I was like, God, I need somebody like standing over my shoulder telling me that. I need
you were the worst.
Like a manager. That's
do you know
like,
how often I've seen you do this, where you'll just open the crop rotation tool and you'll just fix it. You'll scroll through all the settings, and then you'll go back to it and be like, no, we're going to get this perfect.
It's so bad.
3 times. I'll do that so 3 times. I'm like, rotate. And
I've become what I never wanted to become, which was one of my best friends, Matthias. No, I'm just kidding if he's listening. But I'm at that point and I understand. I used to give him shit all the time, where I'm like, you just have a hard drives of photos.
Yeah, you would always.
and you never edit them and never see the light of day. And now I'm like becoming that guy.
You're just becoming Matthias.
I need to just fucking do it and just like send it and just not care and not think about the what if and or but of how it could look.
Well, that's why,
it's like and I think people, I bring it up because I think people, it applies generally, not just photography, but with music. Like, get that sucker out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I struggle with that a lot, of just get that sucker out. Get it out there so people can see it and just move on to the next thing. And if we want to re-edit, we can always go back and retouch it. We can learn new things.
Do different things.
But it's just, you know, the point is you got to do and a little bit more and think a little bit less, I think.
I definitely, like one of the reasons I think that I work so fast, because I still, to this day, I don't have a backlog. There's no photo that I've left untouched.
That's incredible too, to me.
There's not a single photo. Every single photo shoot's done by the next day. If it's a wedding, it's usually done in 3 or 4 days. I just have I have the drive to like get it done, get it all wrapped up so that I can do it and just run with like whatever I'm doing. So like if I start to edit, when I say, I like how that looks, I'm done. Yeah. This is the first time I'm like, that looks cool.
I'm trying to be more. I was like that more at first, and I lost that somewhere.
It takes a little bit of that. I don't
know what happened to me.
And even sometimes like this, I just did a wedding last weekend where after I'd edited, I always edit the first kiss because I send it to him that day, because that's the kind of G that I am. I'm like, it's your wedding day. I'm like, it's always
just a little seasoning.
Because guess what? There's only one picture that everyone always worries about. That day they get the picture of their kiss.
So they're
edited.
drunk on their.
They're drunk as shit, and
I'm not even on their honeymoon.
Then you get a Facebook message from some dickhead, and it's just like, hey, here's your special moment.
Boom. Just guess what the rest of them are going to look like. Take note, folks. That is some fucking heat.
Everyone, every single person I sent it to has been stoked. They're like, oh my God.
Ooh, that's
and
just
I'm
some seasoning. You shouldn't even tell people about that.
It's dirty.
That's a dirty move.
It's a dirty little move. But you love it because it's their wedding day.
And it shows that you're on top of
it. And it shows that, it shows them like, hey, you're a priority. You know, especially when you start looking at it, like,
stop worrying about
you just paid me how many thousands of dollars.
Right. And you can stop worrying about how these pictures are going to look now. And enjoy your honeymoon.
Immediately a little soften.
That's just such a baller move. I'm going to have to remember that. Because I do want to do some weddings. I'm not going to make it my main thing. But
yeah.
You know.
Well, it's like I didn't even intend to do it. But I'm at a point now where I'm starting to realize that I think wedding photography is probably going to be like my big thing until Nat Geo decides to pick me up.
Right. Well,
which they will.
I think it's like, because everything with what we do, which I want to talk about, we can just talk about that next, is unless did we finish talking about what we were just talking about?
We're done with creative blocks, getting out of funks. Yeah.
Well, we're gonna always be talking about that.
Oh, there's never a time.
There's always good ways to talk about that, but yeah, just
notice me, senpai.
Notice me. But I guess it's just, it's the thing is like, you got to figure out a balance between like what's something that I can take pictures of constantly that makes me a good amount of money, but I don't hate it, and it's still my passion, right? Because for me, like, I was taking pictures of beer for 3 years, and I fucking hated that. And I don't ever want to take pictures of beer ever again. Ever.
Yeah.
Like, pretty much never. Unless it's, like, Lone Star or, like, Pabst is, like, wants the job. Then we'll do a campaign or something.
Pabst, when you're on the stream, I'll see you, bro.
Every month. I can't, like, do... You know what I mean? Like, I can't be on retainer for a beer company ever again.
I would take pictures of Pabst every day for the rest of my life.
Well, that's because you're a real one.
Because
you're a real degenerate. No,
I have 2 Pabst posters in my room and a Pabst neon sign. I'm a slut for Pabst. If anybody wants to send me Pabst.
This is brought to you by Pabst.
Now that you're saying it, yeah, I wish. For the last, like, 10 years, I've been trying to get Pabst to sponsor me by taking pictures every time I'm drinking their beer.
James, I don't want to crush your dreams. I'm always going to build you up, King, but I don't think Pabst is ever going to sponsor you.
I think they might.
I don't know, dude. I'm holding out on that.
I'm really confident for Nat Geo, but I'm really hoping for Pabst. I'll settle for Nat Geo. Pabst is the true.
I think Nat Geo's going to work out before Pabst sponsors a photographer for being a drunk. I'm just kidding.
Oh, that'd be a blast. Yeah. Are you kidding me?
Exactly.
They don't even have to sponsor me that much.
It's an untapped marketing.
If they sent me a 30-pack a month, I would plaster Pabst across my Instagram.
You'd be shit-faced. You wouldn't get anything done.
I'd only be shit-faced for like half the month.
That's true.
Well, it'd be less than half. It'd probably be like shit-faced for 2 weekends.
So, what are some things that you like struggle with then on that note of like balancing stuff between like finding shit you want to take pictures of that you enjoy but that also make you money? My question is, what are some things that somebody or you, I guess, might struggle with doing something that you love? Because you would say that out of photography, I mean, I know you like to paintball and do other stuff. You like to play video games, but photography is not only your job, but it's also your favorite thing to do, right?
Yeah,
and so that sounds all goody two shoes and fun of like, I just do what I love for a living. And it's like, I think anyone who says it like that doesn't really do what they love for a living, to be honest. Like, yeah, I just am so...
Well, that's like everyone...
I'm so lucky to be able to just do something I love every day for a living. I think that person doesn't do what they love every day for a living, because if they did, it would be more of like I struggle because I do what I love every day for a living. And it's like, how do you have time to do stuff? You know, because for me, when I was working, you know, for the beer company all the time, it was like I had to do this and worry about this all the time, and then I'm supposed to take pictures for me. I'm supposed to dedicate more time. I'm already burnt out, but now I'm supposed to go and take pictures for Taylor.
Yeah,
that I want to take.
That I want to do happy. That I want to look at. Yeah,
you know what I mean. Which is why I'm kind of transitioning, and I'm trying to like make shit whatever I want to do my day to day. Like, I would love to take pictures like this one and sell it and sell it, and I would love to just sell my own work, because this made me happy when I was there. I was happy. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so I'm really trying to get away from doing like anything for anyone else. That's my long-term goal, is I want to do only me, and I don't want to basically, you know, ruin and that love I have for it by making it my day job. And you're somebody who, the reason I wanted to ask you kind of what you struggle with or how you deal with that is because you're someone I see that is out there fucking hustling, but I also don't see your passion and love for it wane at all.
Oh yeah, no.
So you're always
it's like
dude,
a point now.
Bro, look at this shot.
Yeah.
Like, I'm ready to go shoot. And you're, like I said, that's you pull me out of those creative schlumps that I get in. And I think that might be the difference, is that I started off kind of doing stuff more on retainer for businesses.
Yeah, you went. Yeah, you kind of went right for that.
That's why I need your help so much. Because
and I started as more of like, hey, let's just try this thing, and then I turned out, oh my god,
right?
Like, it's insane how different that is. But
so
it's definitely.
How do you basically deal with? How do you deal with, you know, doing something that you love so
having
much?
The job
your most favorite thing in life is also your job, and you have to do it all the time. You know,
it's definitely weird. I have my days where I'll have like a photo shoot that I'm like, you know what, man, I don't want to fucking do this. I don't want to go meet this family. I don't want to talk to these fucking people. I don't want to have to try and instruct their fucking kids.
I haven't eaten yet.
I always eat. Going to these shoots, I make sure that I am in as close to a good mood as possible. Just because no one wants to have a grumpy James being like, you know what, why don't you just figure out how to pose? That's not going to flow very well. But usually what'll happen is, even if I have moments where it's like, I don't really want to do this shoot, I don't want to go do this, like, and then I get there and I always arrive a little early and I always do a walkthrough and I'll burn like 10 or 15 pictures and I'll just take them. Shitty, beautiful, doesn't matter.
Just like you'll go.
I'll get to the location.
Oh,
and I'll just take pictures before they're there.
Ooh, so it's like, I like this. Hang on, this is great advice. So this is like a little bump of like passion project first. And so, here, and almost metaphorically, spiritually, here you're putting your passion first. And you're putting that into actually like what you're doing at the shoot. You're like, before we make this about
before I do anything for these people, I'm gonna
make sure I'm gonna take care of myself.
I want to see things.
Literally, honestly,
and it works every time. Every time, because then when they get there, I'm a little warmed up. I have the creativity already starting to go. My mood's already starting to improve because I took a few pictures. And a lot of the times, it's like, I'm excited now. Now that I took this picture, maybe it turned out, maybe it didn't, but I think it's going to look really cool.
Dude, I got to tell you something. And we have both watched hundreds of hours of YouTube. And there's nobody better on this planet than Daniel Schiffer or Peter McKinnon, these YouTubers that are multi-million follower famous. And they're great at giving advice. That's some of the best advice I have ever heard. And I'm not even gassing you up right now for the podcast. That is some fucking shit right there. Honestly.
It's the best way to, you got to
put yourself first.
Just do a little bit for you.
Every shoot.
That's like the owl picture that I took. The last one where the owl was in the grass. The last one, which I love.
Your Nat Geo, your National Geographic owl pictures.
The whole reason that I went early, because this was before a paid shoot that I saw this owl. So I was going to this shoot
have this pulled up right now.
In the middle of nowhere.
I'm gonna.
You're like, we gotta.
Well, I have this.
You're like,
of course, it's not working now. Never mind. I had your Instagram pulled up, so it's not working.
Jamie.
Yeah, young Jamie.
Catherine.
We need the owl picture.
Catherine, can we get the owl picture printed?
Her name is Grumpy. Okay, Grumpy's in the chat. All right. Anyway, we'll get it pulled up.
Ooh, my feed looks awesome.
It does. Your feed looks great. We'll go through some photos in a little bit, because I do want to do a little dive on your IG.
Yeah.
But
so I get to this. I'm doing the same process that I do for every photo shoot. I arrive a little early. I have my camera sitting in my front seat.
Is this a photo shoot that you don't want to be at?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't want it. It was up in Washington, and I was kind of. It was just like. It wasn't that I didn't want to shoot.
It was just how you were feeling.
I was just kind of in the mood, like, let's just wrap this up, and it'll be fine. Well, as I pull in, I see there's a guy in the middle of this field, and I see like something white, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? Like,
this man
garbage?
This man is a fucking animal tracker.
And then I was like,
he put his fingers to the dirt and he licked them and pointed them in the sky to feel the trajectory of the wind. And he was like, there's an owl nearby.
Barn owl? Well, I look over and that's exactly what it was. Is there's a barn owl sitting in the grass. And I was just like, out loud in my car, I was like, fucking yeah! Because nothing gets me more hyped than finding an owl.
Dude, that is so legendary.
And I just like
animals just flock to you, bro.
Dude, it's awesome.
You pointed up at a tree like 700 yards away, and you were like, dude, falcon. And I was like, what? Where can you even think about seeing a falcon? I could hear it
screaming, and I was looking, and I saw the...
You're turning into a fucking Steve Irwin.
Dude, it's crazy.
So funny.
I'm so quick on the draw.
Anyway, though, I'm sorry to keep interrupting you. You and your animal thing, it's just wild to me. But, like, you literally find these animals.
Shit.
But, so you find the owl, and it's a
shoot
you don't want to be at.
And it's a shoot that I don't want to be at, and all of a sudden, every single thing about that changed. Immediately, like a quick, like... It's like showing up and you find out you just had a whole surprise birthday party waiting at your favorite restaurant. You're like...
At work, basically.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And so I was like, oh my God, I took these amazing pictures, and I was just like, now, and then of course when she gets there, I'm in now a phenomenal mood. I have a big shit-eating grin on my face. I'm like, I could give a
You're
shit.
in like an owl haze.
Holy
You're
cow.
Like, yeah, whatever. Let's take these pictures
Let's
of your family.
fucking
We're gonna knock
We're
this
gonna
out.
nail this.
She's like, is this guy fucked up? You're just baked off
I'm
the owl.
baked off the owl, bro.
Like, yeah, I just took these pictures of this owl. You don't even know what I mean.
It's funny. I actually just gave a gift to my grandma of a print of one of my owl photos.
Listen to this guy.
I was just like, I don't know what to get her for like a gift for Christmas, and I was like, well, what if I printed out like one of my owl pictures? She was like, you took this?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yes, I did.
That's the animal. When you show people those animal pictures, they're like, no fucking way.
Yeah. I say no fucking way.
Yeah.
Like the picture of the monkey that I took.
The picture of the monkey that you took at the zoo, it looks like a monkey's head floating in space.
Yeah.
Because of like the glass.
It looks like it should say like Attack of the Home of the Planet of the Apes, of the returning apes.
We'll pull it up. But yeah. That is some great advice, is that you gotta separate it even per shoot. Like maybe, because in my head I'm like, you gotta do your work Monday through Friday for this client or whatever, and then you gotta grind, and then you have to set aside a day to go out to the woods to do something for you.
Yeah.
And do a self-care shoot, basically, where you're saying, Just do something. Show up early. And
have a little bit of you time.
Some macro shots of the blades of grass.
Yeah.
Or something fun.
Yeah.
Try to find something.
Just
fun
try to force yourself to find the creativity before it happens, and then you're gonna open your eyes a little more. You're gonna look a little differently, right? Because when I'm looking at things, there's like, that's a photo, and then sometimes it's like, find the photo. Where's the photo really at?
Right.
And being able to show up early and get that find the photo mentality just immediately changes the whole thing.
Right. And it also is like, it kind of tricks your brain a little bit, I think. And it's like, oh, we're not here for work.
No, we're here. You're doing here. You love.
We're here for fun. Like, this is fun now.
Yeah.
That's so huge. And that's something that you can't really do like at work, at a job.
When you're doing
security. You can't.
I had my fun times, but that was back when I was enjoying the job and I wanted to do that job.
Well, everybody has that like new job kind
of
thing. Yeah, but
it was what it was. But
and some people probably fucking love suiting up.
Oh, I used to fucking love it. Man. I used to love going in.
You used to talk highly about it.
Oh, I used to love it. I used to get paid to get in fights with people.
Actually, I kind of wanted to talk about that. I had that written down. What's the story about how?
Oh man!
If you're willing to tell it, I mean, if it doesn't matter. I mean,
about how I got fired.
Well, how you got fired, and then kind of how it became a blessing in disguise, kind of thing, is kind of what I want to. You know what I mean? We don't have to. You don't have to focus too much on the firing.
The firing details.
If I remember it correctly, and you can tell the story about it, but you got like assaulted at work by a shoplifter, a crazy shoplifter person, and then you defended yourself. And then there's videos of this.
Yep.
And they thought it was extra, or basically in your profession, if you defend yourself, unfortunately, you lose your job, kind of thing.
So I'll go ahead. I'll tell the story. I don't give a fuck. I don't work for them anymore.
Okay.
I just won't mention who they were.
No.
So they don't do anything.
Yeah, they can't.
It was some company that
nobody will find out.
Has a bunch of money and doesn't care about firing good people.
Well, you were like a contracted security company for, right? Or
no, it was through them. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So I used to do security, and they weren't allowed to touch people to an extent, but you're allowed to defend yourself. So they said.
Okay, so you are.
But basically, a guy had shoplifted. When he went outside, I approached him. He dropped the stuff and he swung, hit me right away, just punched me like right in the side of the head, and at that time, me and an armed guard who is contracted outside, but we began to kind of like get him like, hey, get the fuck out of here. You're done. Right. We don't care. We have our stuff. Leave. Well, he keeps going on and on and on. He goes and grabs a shovel out of the back of a pickup truck.
Christ.
And is like, I'm going to fucking kill you. I'm going to fucking kill you. And I'm going to take that shit. And so.
And I mean, this guy's on drugs probably or something.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Which is unfortunate.
One of the customer who owned the vehicle goes up to the guy who has the shovel, and he's like, no, we're not doing this. Takes the shovel from him and puts it in the fucking back of the truck again. It was awesome. The balls on this dude, I was like, you're a champ. And he's on the phone. He's just like, no.
Wait, this is a random
Of the customer from the truck who owned the truck that he grabbed the shovel from.
So he grabbed a shovel from some
stranger's
random
truck.
dude's truck, and then the guy with the truck was like, "No, we're not doing this."
Yeah, he's like, hey, no, and he just puts it in there.
Who is this guy, dude?
I don't know,
Hero.
but it was awesome because then it's not like he stays; he just goes into the store. He just leaves the situation.
He trusts that, like, I put that
Bananas.
big dick energy out there, and he's not going to touch that shovel again.
But
wow.
Then the guy ends up, he's still screaming, and he's screaming that he's going to kill us and fuck us up, and ends up, the armed guard pepper sprays him, and I grab him to try and, like hold his arms. Sorry. Hold his arms, and then kind of, like, flip him to try and go to the ground. Well, then he wraps his arms around my neck, tries to choke me. The armed guard hits him with the baton a few times. He punches me all along the back and on the side and shit. Then goes across the street, cleans off his face, comes back to fight us again.
So he just won't give it up.
He refused. He said, I'm gonna fucking kill you, and I'm gonna take your shit. And I was like, okay. So that's really the end of it. He doesn't do much. I tell him, I'm like, I'm gonna fuck you up if you come any closer to me. At this point, like, job out the window. I will go full fisticuffs.
Well, it's fight or flight, really, at this point, this crazy guy.
Well, he ends up going and getting arrested and all this shit. So I was like, oh my god, this story. I got paid $20 an hour to do this.
Yeah, $20 an hour, underpaid.
And I still went to work the next day.
Underpaid.
But yeah, no. So then police come, arrest him. We have beautiful video of all of this, and then I end up getting fired for touching him. And they're like, excessive use of force.
I remember you called me that day, and you were like, hey, dude, probably getting fired. So
probably getting fucking
fired.
Let's
fucking hang.
Let's do some shit.
Let's do some photo stuff.
And at the time, I had a plan to Vegas planned. That was a bachelor party, and I had money saved for that. And I was like, I have my money for that, and I have my bills. And I was like, do I be responsible? Like, go to Vegas? Do I cancel Vegas? And I was just like, fuck this, bro. I went to Vegas, I balled out, and then I got back home, and I was hungover.
You laughed at yourself right away from
and I was just like,
about questioning Vegas right there. Like, you were like, do I cancel Vegas? And you were like, no.
You're kidding. No, fuck you.
Vegas.
You don't cancel Vegas. But, yeah, then I went to Vegas, got shitty drunk, and then I came back, and I was like, what the fuck am I going to do with my life right now? Because you just lost your job, bud. Don't know if you realize that now that you're back from Vegas with enough money to cover this month's rent. But
you had also been basically, you were working.
I was working
5 days a week.
Yeah.
8 hours a day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or more. Sometimes
I was working
overtime.
Yeah, sometimes
60
overtime.
60-hour weeks sometimes, right?
It could be
and then
anywhere.
You would get off work. You would have shoots scheduled.
Yep,
and
I'd
you would
have
paid
shoots,
So
and I would have weekends.
You had already, and we were already kind of creeping up to a position where you were like annoyed with your job because it was taking away from, you were having to say, no, I can't do the shoot that I want to do and get paid for.
Because I have to be here.
Because I have to be at work, just sitting here dealing with crazy people.
Yeah, you know, and a lot of the time I was spending all this time, and it really, like, when you start working for yourself, you start looking at, like, what is my time actually worth? What is, if I spend 8 hours working for this grocery store to do loss prevention and I get paid $100, like, if I get one wedding client and I spend 8 hours a day looking for that day I'm getting a deposit that's already going to pay me more than that.
It's like
that day. And that's a week. For a week. Yeah, a week of work. Like, it's, the wedding I did last week, I'm like, this is covering almost all of my monthly bills in one day.
Exactly.
And this is for something that I love to do.
But you had to have time to sit there and search for it.
And I had to have the time. I had to have the time.
The ability to book so much of your time.
Well, and it's another huge thing is that I have to go do these shoots that I want to do because that's how I get clients. All of my client growth isn't from me messaging people individually. It's from me posting things that I love to post and people seeing that and saying, I want you to do what you love to do, but do that for me instead.
Wow, okay.
That's where it's like, whoa, like, because I won't, like, if I post a family photo shoot, right, paid.
That's not going to get you clients.
That's not going to give me a fucking thing.
Right.
But if I go out into the woods and I take 4 pictures of a puddle, a bear, some foggy trees, and
I remember
a light
those
bulb.
fall photos you posted. I was like in Austin, I think, or something.
Yeah.
And you were like, I took a walk in fall or whatever, and it was like dope ass. Like it looked like a Pinterest thing.
Blew up.
Yeah, it did blow up.
I got 3 different clients from that, and that was just walking downtown taking pictures.
It's a fucking leaf.
As a test to see if I could take pictures in the rain. That's what that day was for.
Oh yeah, you wrapped your camera up.
Because I wrapped it in a bag, and I was like, let's just see if like I can handle like heavy rain with my camera now in like a bag. Took those pictures, 3 clients.
Damn, dude. See, it's just you can do it, I guess, and not to be a cheesy. This isn't a cheesy motivational, inspirational podcast, but it's like you can. It's so right there.
Yeah,
you just have
and the thing is that you have to
out.
keep doing it. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't just like if you release if you were to like let's say you're a musician, if you release 1 song every month, maybe you're gonna or if you release an album.
Well, I mean, it's
like
different.
It's a little different, but it's like imagine
if
you need and you need to keep like engaged. You need to keep people looking at what you're doing.
Right.
And if you're a band, that's outreach, maybe that's this, maybe that's that.
Merch
drops. Merch drops. Exactly.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like this is my photos.
Right.
That's my merch drop. My merch drop is hey,
what I need
look what's on my
print
print shop now.
Push these fucking prints.
And that's and it's hard because I don't want that to be my primary. So it'd be great. I'd love to be able to like have my wildlife photography just pop off on my dark room and just have people like see, because it's like all of my wildlife photography gets put on there, every single one, because I'm like, if I want a picture in my house, I want pictures of really cool animals.
Right.
And so that's where I'm like, yeah, like that's where I want my print shop to go, is that direction, and then eventually.
If you could give it all up right now and do something full time, it'd be taking pictures of animals.
Yeah, I would in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
If National Geographic were to like call me up and be like, hey Jumbo.
If the zoo wanted you to go.
If the zoo was like, hey dude,
in-house guy takes
we're
pictures
gonna
of
pay
for Instagram.
Yeah, you wanna do that?
That's a good idea, actually.
Oh, I've been keeping my eyes on it.
Do it as a volunteer for a while, because everybody at the zoo is a volunteer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've thought about zoo stuff, just everything. And right now, the hardest part is finding, because my ideal goal for like photography would be someone tells me they want a picture of an animal, and they say, "Here's 3 months."
You're like a hunter.
I want to be a bounty hunter for fucking photos of animals.
Listen, James,
and they're like,
I need a photo of a
for
barn
3
owl
months,
right now.
we're gonna put you in fucking Southeast Asia, and you're gonna go try and find this one breed of chicken.
Would you start dressing like Crocodile Dundee?
In a heartbeat.
And speaking with an Australian accent?
I'd be like, "My, we got a bitey big one here."
Stick your knife in the ground and lick it, and you're like, this way.
Well, it's like next month when I go to Florida, I was trying to think of like, I'm trying to plan this trip out. Maybe I might go to Florida. Gator pics.
What?
I want gator pics. Wouldn't that be fucking insane?
Come get gator pics with you, dude. Gator hunting,
dude.
Let's go.
I was just thinking, I was like, dude, like I want pictures of all these different like wild animals. Like
you can get pretty close to a gator without it being dangerous too.
I don't give a fuck about dude. I was close enough.
Listen to this, man. I don't give a fuck. Hang on, first thing, son. I don't give a fuck about danger.
You can get that danger word out of your fucking mind, because I ain't worried about it.
I am danger.
Well, that's when I went and took pictures of the buffalo.
Dude, the buffalo pictures are sick. God, I want to get the Instagram. Hang on a second. Keep talking. Keep talking.
I remember getting out of the car for the first buffalo that I saw, because we saw one lone buffalo before we saw a bunch of them. Mm-hmm. And I got out of the car, and immediately I realized how big this fucking thing was. And I realized, like, if it wants to kill me, at any point, it could just rear its fucking rear up, and down I go.
Right.
And having that, like, big animal, I was just like realizing, because once my camera's in my hands, I'm not afraid of heights. I'm not afraid of like, I'm like, let's go see if we can find a rattlesnake,
right?
So that we can like take pictures of a rattlesnake.
Exactly. You're not even.
And it's just all of a sudden, all personal safety goes out the window.
I remember when we saw that coyote on the side of the road,
and I went chasing after it because I wanted to get a picture of it.
You literally like ripped the car over. And you were like, we're over to get this fucking coyote.
Running across the street.
Yeah, like semi-truck honking at you. You know what I mean? And you were like, and you came back and you were like, damn, nothing.
Nothing. I couldn't get it. Couldn't get it. Well, that's like when I was in Southern Oregon, we had went to. I
want to find this buffalo picture. Hang on. First of all, here's the owl picture we were talking about from earlier. Make sure everybody can see that.
We could put it like right over the little.
I mean, I can just put it over me, really, because they don't need to see me. You're the focus.
Oh man, that's just
like that shit hits, bro. Look at that. Look at that shit. And then Anyway, you said so. Tell the story of the buffalo picture.
Oh, so then so we're pulling over.
Picture he took through the glass at the zoo. Through
that
the
was
glass.
a cool
This
one. I was really happy with that
This
one.
monkey looks like it's in space.
And that was taken with
through the glass at the zoo, you guys.
a used camera I spent $100 on. Came with a lens. Yeah.
Yeah. This was like your first camera setup.
Yeah, that was. Or no, it was my second. I shot that on a Canon T3i, which was made.
Your roommate is talking shit on here. He goes, "Nah, I've seen that."
He always talks shit. He's the first one on anything, but he's the plug. Yeah, the monkey definitely hit right in the spot. So I got out to see these buffalo, and I realized how big they are and how much they can just kill me. Because originally I thought they were just cows, and they're not just cows. Turns out buffalo are actually technically they're not buffalo.
Did you crop this in portrait? Because you never shoot in portrait.
I did. That actually was a cropped photo in portrait. Okay. Yeah.
Look at that. Look at that buffalo, dude.
The other buffalo picture is a little lower. The one where it has the beautiful side profile on it.
Oh yeah. Where's that one?
Keep going. Dewdrops. Kara published. Bardell.
The feed is smacking right now, dude.
I'm pretty happy with it.
Here we go. This one right here. That's some fucking Nat Geo shit right there. Look at that.
All the detail in it.
Even with Instagram ruining your photo.
Yeah, with it shitting on the quality of it.
It's just
the idea is definitely nuts.
It's awesome. It's there.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you get out and you're like, "Oh, this thing could harm me."
Oh, this thing could kill me in a heartbeat. And then it kind of was just like, well, I know what pictures I want to take of a buffalo, so better start crawling on the ground. And I was crawling on the ground through cactuses and shit. And
wow, where was this? Montana?
This would be in North Dakota, right by the Montana North Dakota border.
That's awesome.
And I was able to take some really cool pictures of the buffalo, and yeah,
love it. You love to see it.
I definitely want to chase all the.
So you're saying that if but you just said when we were talking about, like, you said you don't think that you would just want to do that though. You like doing other random work.
I mean, I do like, I like doing, I love doing weddings just like because I do get to do a variety of photos. I get to do people, I get to do products, I get to do grand schemes and candids, but I also get to pose and have fun with that.
Right.
So it's like I do love that. Like my ultimate though, like if I really could, if someone just pays me to take a couple of months and find an animal in the wild, like that would be what
you want to do.
Yeah, that'd probably be the number one thing. Is like go.
Dude, I like this. It could be like a. That's kind of cool idea. I've never.
Where you just go out and you just fucking chase these animals.
You're paying this guy to hunt down an animal.
You're paying me to go, and I'll you don't have to worry about anything.
It's kind of a cool story for the client.
Well, that'd be it. It'd be.
See this fucking owl, dude? I paid this guy. He's like Steve Irwin.
Yeah, to go fucking find this animal.
Find this animal somewhere and take a picture.
That's what I'm starting to practice doing right now. Is I'm starting out by learning how to be a guide in my own state. How do if someone wants to go see an owl, I want them to be like, "Hey James, I want to go see an owl that I can take a picture of." Right. And I want to be able to be like, yeah,
like those guys that work at the Next Adventure, that like outdoor sport place where like they'll throw you in a van and you go out to the woods and like this super nerd knows like everything about mushrooms.
That's what I'm doing right now.
That mushroom does this and this mushroom does that.
Exactly.
But you're trying to like track.
I'm doing that for animals.
Nice.
So like I'm trying to figure out like how do I find, right now one of my things that I'm trying to find is a pygmy owl. And a pygmy owl is about the size of your microphone, right?
Really?
That's about how small a pygmy owl is.
Holy shit.
They don't move and they chirp very lightly. Trying to find these fucking things in woods is a nightmare. But that's what I want to do. So like I'm learning, I'm like, what do they eat? Well, they eat bugs and berries. Okay, so they eat bugs and berries.
There's bugs and berries everywhere.
What time are they out? Well, they're out during the daytime. They're one of the few owls that are actually out during the daytime. And it's like, okay, well now I have something. But it's just learning all these different little random things about how to find animals. How do I find deer? How do I track a deer? Right. How do I walk up to a deer to see a deer face to face? I've been as close to a deer as I am to you right now. Right. And you want to know how to do that? You just ignore them. Just be oblivious to the deer. Literally.
What deer?
If they look at you, you look around like, huh?
Is that a thing?
I swear to God. I followed a deer family for like a mile, and that's what I read. It was like, if you want to go and
Did you read about that?
I read about deer. My God, and the first thing they said, they're like, do you want to see deer? Just ignore them. The minute you see him, just start walking towards him, hands in pockets, super lax. No, they won't give a shit. Yeah.
Weird.
I'm standing there, deer like they're like
works.
eating, and I'm like walking, and I like break a branch, and they like look at me, and I'm like, oh hey, I don't fucking know.
I don't see you.
It could be anything. Maybe something over there. Yeah, and they're just completely as content as can be.
Because you did get some pictures of the deer recently.
Yeah, I got some derpy deer photo that was awesome. Then I ran over. Did I tell you I ran over my my camera backpack?
You ran over your camera backpack?
Yeah.
Did shit break in it?
Not a single thing.
Oh my god, you and cars and cameras don't mix.
No, they don't.
He left his camera on top of his car one night after we were walking around in the city doing a shoot, and drove away. And he was like, "Wait a minute, where's my camera?" Or then we got back to my apartment and to look at our photos we took, and he was like, couldn't find his camera, and he's like, "Wait, I think I remember seeing something falling off the car."
So we go right back, gone. Fucking Portland, just
scavenged by a homeless person probably. But I mean, I would have too. You know,
I guess if you see a camera on the ground, yeah. But
yeah.
No. So then So I saw a deer. I saw the deer. I took my backpack off and set it on my camera tire, like leaning my bag against it.
James.
Take a couple of picky pics. Deer goes sprinting off. I'm like, hasta luego. Get in my car, looking through the viewfinder. Toss my camera in the side. Pop it and drive. As I drive, I go goof, and I was like, there wasn't a rock there when I parked. And I look in my rear view and I see my backpack laying face down, and I was just like, All your lenses are okay? Every single one of them. That is so crazy. Not a single one broke.
You are so lucky.
I don't get how.
You are so lucky. Craftsmanship.
Yeah.
Sponsored by Canon.
Yeah, the Canon lenses mixed with that backpack.
Craftsmanship.
It was impressive, and I felt my heart sink down into my butt.
Yeah, I bet you did.
I was just like, I just ran over. But I had my most expensive lens on my camera, so I was like, I might trade that in. I've been thinking about it. Mm-hmm. Well, I think I'm going to trade it in, and I'm going to get a nicer, crazier zoom lens. I'm going to get two different ones. I might get a 600 millimeter f11. Oh. Which is a fucking nightmare to think about. Can you explain to people that don't know what that means, like what you can do with that? So 600 millimeter is super zoomed in. It's like a telescope. And the f11 just means that it's going to be a really tight hole. So it's not going to let in a bunch of light. But the detail will be there. The detail is going to, it's pretty, I was just watching a couple of videos on it, and it's pretty fucking impressive. But I figure I can get that, and I can get Canon's new 100 to 400. Ooh, little range. Which would be perfect, because my 70 to 200, it's a little far away. 200 is too far away, and 70 I don't use because I have my 85, and my 85 is just... Yeah. You need get a little tighter on the birds and stuff like that. And it's just, you can't get birds, and you can't get as close as I want to. Do you feel like you're an old man just turning into a bird? Oh my god. Dude, I saw a woodpecker that I was too excited for, and I was just like, who the fuck... I saw a woodpecker and shit myself. I was walking through the woods, and all I heard was something thudding and hitting the ground. And I was like, what the fuck is that noise? And I look, and I just see this red-topped woodpecker like picking a hole in the tree and dropping these like bark chips. Oh my god. And I was just like, I'm gonna take a fucking picture of this. Yeah. And I fucking go, and I'm like trying to take like Woody the Woodpecker straight up. Straight up. Damn. None of the pictures came out. It was all too far. And I was pissed, and I was like, if I would have had an f11, that 600 millimeter. Dude, you're gonna be down in Florida, like, I smell gators. Oh, I can't wait. I'm getting so good at like being able to spot out. Like the other day, you're gonna get that perfect picture of it popping its head halfway up out the water. Yeah. But you know what my dumbass is gonna be doing? I'm gonna be holding my camera like right here by the water, waiting for it to play it. If I, you know what because every animal I'm gonna have a shot in my head for what I want. The shot I want for an alligator is gonna be from the nose as it pops up out of the water, looking directly at the camera. Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's the shot that I was saying. That's so fucking where all you can see is the top of its nose and its head. Yep, and I want you don't even see the whole nose. I want the camera right here. Yeah. Fucking. You seem to take some raw chicken out with you. You're just gonna see one. You remember in Jackass when they like put Steve-O was wearing a thong and they put the so chicken in there? If Steve-O can do it, I just got to do it. It's just raw chicken, and you're not even putting it in your pants or near your ass. I'm just throwing it out there for the gators to get. Exactly. If I get killed by a gator, you're not gonna get killed by a gator. There's gonna be some really upset people. Just find a gator person. There's gonna be these people right here. You need to find a gator person. You need to vlog this, by the way. A gator person. Like this is the crazy Florida guy that hunts gators that I met. His name's fucking
Richard.
That's one thing I want to do is I want to go and I want to meet
to the bayou and help me find.
I'm gonna get on a boat that runs with a big ass fan on the back.
Yes, dude.
And I'm gonna
just go to Louisiana instead. That's honestly.
I fucking hate Louisiana. I don't want to
Really?
go there. I fucking hate that state.
No New Orleans for you.
No, well, only for one thing. Mardi Gras.
Right.
Every other day in Louisiana can fuck itself. Sorry if there's anyone from Louisiana, but find a better state.
Oh my god.
That's sure. How you're about to be super unpopular. It's Louisiana.
It's okay. I talk shit about like Richmond, Virginia.
Yeah.
I don't like.
Who lives
I don't
there?
like Virginia.
Who lives in Richmond?
I don't know.
There's just
I had a bad experience. Maybe I'll go back. The door's open for me for Virginia. It doesn't sound like Louisiana as the door's open.
I went to Louisiana.
Go back and have a better experience in Virginia.
I've been there. I've been to Louisiana a few
times.
Virginia
was fine, but it was just like something about the experience. I was just like, I don't ever need to be here again.
Louisiana's hot and shitty, and I don't want anything to do with it.
All right,
I've been there.
We'll go for Mardi Gras.
We'll go for Mardi Gras.
Crawfish.
And I will fuck up some crawfish.
Yeah. But so is there anything that you brought that you want to talk about? I know you wrote a couple things. Is there anything we didn't touch on? I know we touched on creative block. Can you believe we've almost done our first 2-hour podcast? First 2-hour podcast. We've almost done this for 2 hours. Doesn't feel like that to me.
No, it's been flying by. I have unposable subjects.
Oh, I don't know what that means, but I like
I know.
it. So
I was like,
it's
something that
non-human things
that you can't control and you have to take a good picture of, which I think was appropriate because buildings are in that category where you have to find. I can't take a good picture of a building.
Right, you have to move your own body.
1 in every 50, maybe. I'll take a good picture of a building.
I think you're selling yourself short.
I just don't like it as much. I can't find like the artistic like I love them, and I think that there is like an opportunity there. I just don't know how to do it.
There's a beauty to the architecture for you, but it's
it's not anything great for me.
So
I can't
you prefer when I talk about taking pictures of people and not liking the lack of control with the eyes and stuff and the hair flowing, you feel like you have more control. I have
all the control
because you're like move your fucking head.
Yeah, move this way, change this, and now I know how to make certain things happen.
Too. When we were taking pictures of me with the camera, the Eddie Bauer pictures you took of me with the rock, you're like act like you're climbing this rock and look over there.
Yeah,
and it like looks like it's above the men's
wear
section.
It's like, ooh,
you know,
like,
and it looks like one of those shots.
Yeah,
I tagged them too. I was like, hire this man.
They like every message that I tag them in on my story.
No way.
I'm like Eddie Bauer. That would be one of the things, and I'm like, Eddie Bauer is gonna pay me to go take a bunch of fucking. They're gonna be like wildlife photographer James Walker.
Here, let me show them the Eddie Bauer picture.
The Eddie Bauers. The Eddie Bauer.
Really is it's so Eddie Bauer. I love it. It's like the first thing that comes to mind.
It's gonna be up, right there.
Did you post a couple?
I post all 3.
Oh, okay.
Boom, boom, boom. Oh, I guess.
Oh, this isn't the one.
Did I not do the Upwards Hill one?
I didn't think so. Here, I have it on mine somewhere here.
Yeah, you probably find the tag from your. You have Joe Rogan is right below me, as he should be, Joe.
As you should be.
There's only room for one Jim in this town.
Jim and Joe. It's one of the last ones I posted. These are just straight up Eddie Bauer. Dude.
With the fucking water behind.
Look at that. Holy shit. If I wasn't wearing a Columbia jacket, if Eddie Bauer had good clothes, this would be Eddie Bauer. So I guess this is Columbia. But my mouth open like a dumbass. You need to start telling me to close my mouth. This one is the most Eddie Bauer, though, right?
Oh, yeah.
Look at that.
That's something that you'd expect to see definitely over a Men's Warehouse, like, or the men's section of. That's just what you're gonna leave up. Is this you and the Eddie Bauer for the rest of the podcast?
So funny.
You're just like, look at how artsy and fucking outdoorsy I am.
But yeah, man. Let me see. Anything else on your? So unposable subjects.
Yeah.
So what about them? You don't like them?
I love them.
Oh, you do love them.
It's the hardest form of photography because it's buildings, it's wildlife, it's nature, it's things that you have to. Like with wildlife, you have to figure out where it's gonna be, what it's gonna be doing, like what, and that's one thing that I love is like, I have to figure out like, because anybody could take a picture of something sitting still and doing nothing, but what does this animal do? What's something that this animal does? It's gonna look cooler, right? So like, if it's a lion, and if it's a lion sleeping, that's a lot cooler than a lion just sitting there just looking around. Right. Because I was like, oh, you saw a lion while it's sleeping.
But the bottom line is you can't. You have to deal with whatever.
You have to. Yeah, but your hands are bound. You don't have the ability to be right where you want to be at the right time. You have to make yourself get there or find where it's at. And like with buildings, you have to figure out like, where do I stand to get like,
do I have to go across the street?
Yeah. Do I have to cross the street? Do I have to go a few blocks down to get a better angle? Like,
or a parking garage,
how, you know, exactly.
Up? Yeah.
You know, and it's like, I guess I just wanted to talk about like how you feel about handling, you know, how do you approach an unposable subject where you don't have this say of being like, this is what I want you to look like. You have
I
to
think
kinda...
the main thing that I'm always thinking, because like, you know, you take a picture and you're like, yeah, it's not working for me.
Yeah.
What's wrong here? You know what I mean? I always just, you'll see me crouching down.
Oh yeah, you hit
getting, I just like move my body a lot, and I think that it's just, that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
Whether
Meanwhile,
it's
me,
across
because
the
I've
street.
definitely done we walk up to a building and you're like, oh, and I'm like, it looks cool. And I'll take like one picture and kind of be like, for you, it'll look cool.
Right.
But
I'm like, no, like I need to get across the street and get away from this, get further away so I can get the whole thing. Or like, I don't know, man. The unposable subjects, it's like, it's just, you have to pose then. You have to move.
Yeah.
You have to change.
You have to figure out
what
where
you're
you're
doing.
standing.
Or maybe you have to change your lens. Or maybe you have to change, you know what I mean?
Do you ever change lens? I guess you don't shoot people as much, so you probably wouldn't run into this issue. My biggest like self-aware issue that I have is when I'm changing lenses. Because I always am like, I'm changing a lens and I feel so uncomfortable doing it because I'm like, I swear I'm not like unprofessional. I'm just, this will get the better shot. And I don't think anyone ever thinks about it, but every time I'm changing my lens, I'm always...
If anything, they're probably like, wow, this guy...
As I'm taking off, I'm like, I fucking hate this.
I hate how this feels.
I hate how this feels. Like, one sec. Or if I get caught up switching between two because I can
bodies,
see...
I guess.
Yeah, no shit. That's what I keep thinking. Dude, I'm like...
You don't need more camera.
All year, I'm like, I could
me,
just spend $2,500 and just get a whole new camera.
No, don't. Buy glass.
Well, I'd find the
Change the lens,
there.
James. They don't care.
I'll just do a quick like switch. I thought about doing a two camera bodies for weddings.
Okay.
Because
that makes a lot of sense, actually.
One with a 35, one with my 85.
Plus, you look kind of dope when you have two cameras strapped.
And I'd get that I'd get like that, you know, like the fucking straps that people have, and they're like, ooh, and it's like, oh, you fucking nerd, get out of here.
God. What's the worst wedding experience you've ever had?
It'd be my second wedding that I ever did. I charged $200 for 8 hours of time, which I felt was really good. I was like, that's so much money for 8 hours of time. And I'm like, the audacity.
Yeah.
Like, how dare you charge so little for so much?
What's the hourly on that? I don't do math quick.
So if it's an 8 hours for $200,
we have calculators in our pockets now.
It's like
our
$4
parents
an
lied to
hour.
us. It's like not a lot an hour.
It's not a lot. I'm not. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I don't know.
$16 an hour.
See, so it's 8 hours divided by.
Grumpy, do math for us. Divided by $200.
It's 8 hours, right? Divided by 200.
No. $200 divided by 8 hours.
Divided by 8. Yeah, I'm stupid. It's $25 an hour.
$25 an hour. I guess it's not that bad.
It makes
But like your rate is $175 an hour.
Yeah.
So it's like.
That hurts.
Yeah, it kind of hurts. That's the difference.
That hurts a lot. So I got hired to do this wedding, and I actually had a second shooter for the wedding who also got paid $200. So it was $400 for the hours, but it was split between two people. So I got $200, which still ass. Even if it was double, it's $50. But yeah, but wait, not only was it a low price, I also hated it. But we started shooting, and everything was going really good at the start. Nothing weird. Everything's great. Then ceremony happens. Awesome. Great. Kind of flubbed the first kiss a little bit. It wasn't the best first kiss that I ever saw, but
already sounds bad.
But I was like, that sucks. Like the lighting was kind of shitty and like awkwardly backlit, but also front lit, but not evenly. It was really annoying. And then as we go outside, we're going to do group photos. And the number one pet peeve, if you hire someone to do your wedding and you see your guests giving the photographer advice or tips, tell the person giving the photographer advice or tips to shut the fuck up. Do not let it happen, because the first thing that happens when someone tells me what I should do is I immediately get pissed off, and it immediately ruins the mojo.
I can just imagine like some dude with cake on his face comes over to you. And
it was the mom.
Oh God, no!
The mom of the bride, and you can't be a dick.
The mother of the bride.
But when she did it like the 5th or 6th time,
no,
I hit her with a.
Karen.
I was hired to be here.
Oh, big dog, isn't that?
$200 for 8 hours, and I have the audacity. I was paid to be here.
You flexed on her, dude. You're like, listen,
Super
excuse
awful.
me, mom.
Yeah,
Paid to be here.
Yeah, I got this. Believe it or not, she hired me.
Lord.
And
did you get flack for saying that?
I didn't get any flack. No,
okay,
it was all good.
Cool.
I could kind of tell that the mom didn't like me,
right?
Which is fine. She was a little uptight, and she was kind of a bitch to her daughter, anyways. So, but so about that. No, so that's not even the worst part of this. So wedding's over, right? Rest of the money gets sent.
Stay for 6 more hours.
No, thank God. I get home. I edit all these photos. I send her like 230 photos. Insane. Because that's about like, now it's about what it is. Back then, that was not what the case would have been. It should have been like maybe 100 or 110, somewhere in that range. But I give her all these photos back, a variety of edits, a variety of pictures. I got pictures of every single person. It was phenomenal. And I didn't get a picture of the bride and her mom alone. And that's like it's like one of the photos that like people know. But at the time, I don't know what everyone's relationship is. Like, I know at my wedding, I won't want my mom there because I don't like my mom. So like that's
Sorry,
how I
Mom.
look at it. I'm like, if
Sorry,
you want a picture with someone, you fucking tell the photographer.
Right. Let me get a picture of my mom or whatever.
And we had a big opportunity. I was like, if anyone wants pictures with the bride, the groom, the bride and groom,
doing what you
right
always
now, right? Now's the time. We're doing group photos.
Right.
We're doing this. Well, mom doesn't decide to speak up for that. She was too busy telling me how to do my job. But
she was doing something else, missed the last call.
And she was there, and it's like, okay, so whatever. Afterwards, send the photos, and she's like, hey, did you get any of just me and my daughter? She messages me on Facebook, and my contact was the bride. And I was like, hate this.
And
so I was like, I'm currently at work because I was working full time. I was like, when I get home, I'll do another pass through to see.
You gave her the long no. You knew.
Well, I had a feeling. I was like, if it wasn't sent, it probably wasn't there. But sometimes I miss one, right? If I get too into it, I'll go through and I'll skip one. I wouldn't have missed that one. No. But I kind of knew in my head, and I was like, no, I'm gonna get back. And it's gonna be. And so I was like, okay. And I type out this super long like, hey, I'm sorry this isn't it, but during the wedding, I don't know if you remember, we did this whole thing. And I was like, I'm so sorry, like, that this wasn't captured.
You had to deliver the hard message.
And she replies with, well, don't you think it's a little customary to get a picture of the mom and bride? Maybe if that's something that you're missing, you should reevaluate what your career choice is, because obviously shooting weddings isn't it. And I was just like...
Oh, shit! She was still burnt from when you told her. From when you told her. You were living in her head rent-free after you were like, bitch, I was hired to be here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
She was not jazzed.
She wasted you, dude. Wasted.
And you know what I did? I messaged her daughter, and I was like, you need to tell your mom to stop messaging me.
You need to rein your mom
And you know what she did? She's like, oh, my God, I'm so sorry. What did she say?
Oh, yes.
And I was like...
Because she was happy with the wedding photos.
She was jazzed.
Bride was jazzed with the photos.
Yeah. And she was like,
She didn't
what
give
did she
a shit
say?
about
And
the
I was
mom
just
photo.
like, hey, I'm not going to get into it. I would just really prefer if all communication was kept between you and me.
See, you handled that really well.
Yeah.
You handled that really well.
I really wanted to
Man.
just go off and be like,
Dude.
well, maybe you shouldn't bring weird first dates to your daughter's wedding.
Wedding horror stories. Oh, she had a weird first date?
Oh, dude.
Mom's first date
It was
at
like,
daughter's wedding?
It was like a college experiment.
Where
first date.
was I mean, don't answer that. It'll get too...
I'll tell. Edgefield. McMinimans Edgefield.
Oh, my God. I'm just like...
Oh, yeah, and everyone in the wedding did cocaine. Every single person at the wedding.
Jeez, even you?
Not me. Because me and the second shooter, we were like sitting there, and like all of a sudden this group of like 8 people came in at the same time.
And they're all
like, every single one of them had a look on their face, and we were like, huh. And then we saw the bride pass the bag to the groom, and we were like, whoa! Dude, like,
these people must have been from Gresham.
for
These
sure.
people were
They
from
had
Gresham
it was
for sure,
something.
Dude.
It was just absolutely bananas.
Oh my God.
$200.
$200. Hey, it's a good experience though.
You know what? I get hired for a wedding now. I get $1,500 for less than that, and I get to get drunk with everybody.
Oh, and I mean, doing photography at a wedding too, like for any wedding photographer, photographers that might listen to this sometime, it's like weddings it's alright. It's a cheap mic, it's fine. Weddings are like really daunting because there's all these like, oh my god, like what if I miss the first kiss? What if I miss this? What if I miss the flower kid? Or the bride and groom walking down, or the bride and her dad, or the groom and his mom. But there's all these things, and the thing is that one thing that I try to remember if I'm ever like, you know, wanting to do a wedding is like, you're basically, you show up a nobody and you leave
family.
You leave not only family,
fucking
but the life of the party most of the time. Oh, yeah. They're like, the photographer. They get all hammered at the reception. And they're like, come here, give me a picture of me and Joey. Get a picture of me and Joey. You know what I mean?
That's when you know you've won a wedding.
And then they're like, you want to come over? You want to come to the after party, have some drinks? You know, taking some drinks. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, it turns into like a serious party.
That's
and
when
you're
realize,
like one of the VIPs at the wedding.
Oh, yeah. Well, because you got the entire day, and I love it, and I tell everyone, if you're going to hire a photographer for your wedding, hire them for the entire day. Hire them for a full 8-hour day because
talking directly.
Hire them for a full 8-hour day because what's going to happen is you're going to build a really good friendship, and at the end of the day, the photographer is going to be so excited to do your photos because they've been family.
Right.
They just witnessed all these special moments.
Like
you're
when
first.
we did
you're front and center.
Alex's wedding, that was so much fun, dude.
And we left, and he was
they still talk to me.
Yeah. Every single wedding, that's how you want to leave. Is you want to leave with these people being like, "Oh my God, I'm so happy that I hired you."
Right.
And I'm so happy that everything went the way it did.
Little did he know that he had the motherfucking dream.
Oh,
team.
yeah.
Me,
he
you,
was
and Kendall
set up,
Johns.
yeah.
Woo, sheesh.
Yeah.
Honestly, sheesh.
Oh my God.
That was so funny. But they
had
a great time.
They had a great time.
We made a backyard wedding look like $1 million.
Oh, it looked awesome. They were.
And and
I love it. I love that they still post pictures from it. And I'm
right.
like,
they're still talking about it. Yes. It's great.
I love that. And I love just being able to see all the.
I think you have a passion for weddings.
There's definitely. Oh, dude. I've said that from the first wedding that I ever did. After I did it, the pastor was like, "So, what wedding is this for you?" And I'm like, and he's like, "For this summer." I'm like, "This is my first wedding ever." And he was like, "Are you serious?" And I was like, "Yeah, this is my first wedding. Like, you know, I've never done a wedding before."
And you're about to
go
into your first wedding season.
You are. He's like, "You were amazing. You were like," he's like, "You did a lot of stuff that I saw professionals do."
That is awesome.
This pod, oh my God, someone noticed you.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I love it. Yeah, let's see what the chat's been saying.
I'm glad you're finding your way though, and that's a big reason, you know, why I wanted you to come on here, because I'm super inspired by you all the time, and you are able to pull me out of a creative funk. I feel better just talking to you for the last 2 hours, and I'm like excited to go take some pictures with you after this and get some food. I think it's kind of shitty out, but we'll make it work.
We always do.
But I'm excited to go take pictures for like the first time since the last time we went and took pictures, because I've just been in the winter's really getting to me and stuff.
I've just been fucking ripping through.
Yeah, you've been ripping through stuff, and it's kind of like I look at your stuff and I'm like, man, like I should edit my stuff. I should really get on my shit. You know what I mean? And so it's like you do a lot for me, and I'm really proud of you, because you've worked really hard, and you've been through some shit, and you're fucking killing it right now, dude. And so that's why I wanted to bring you on here. But we can look through the chat, see if there's some questions.
These chat folks have been.
Desiree says, "Who are some of your favorite creators on Instagram?"
Oh, I actually have one. There's actually one that I wouldn't say it's something I'd say I look up to it. I look forward to seeing his work every time. And he's this guy who's like from Sweden. And oh my God, now I'm like forgetting his Instagram handle because I suck. I know when I saw it. He's like this Swedish photographer who I randomly stumbled across. And I realized quickly, I'm like, this guy shoots exactly how I like to shoot. What the heck's his name? Of course, now, and I need it. He's not he's hiding. But he's probably one of the few people who I look at and I'm like, this guy is a photographer that I definitely like work my work off of. Because I see what he does and I'm like, dude, I really wish.
Is he the guy that does those crazy landscapes?
Maybe. I gotta find him.
Very attractive guy.
Super mildly attractive, great, awesome dude.
I really like one of my favorite creators on Instagram is actually the guy who asked the question, Desiree. I do love Desiree.
Desiree, he does some fucking
savage. Amazing
work. Yeah.
I know I made fun of him for doing the white frames around his shit, but I like it now. I kind of like it now. But let's see what other kind of questions we got. While you look for that guy's name, I think I saw a question from Grumpy.
The North Picks, that's his name.
The North Picks?
Yeah, he's a Norwegian photographer.
Can we get the North Picks thrown in the chat?
Yeah.
If Grumpy's still here, the North Picks.
The dude.
It's just called The North Picks on Instagram / The North Picks.
But I definitely look at his stuff and I'm like inspired as shit. A lot of the time he actually gets me to he's one of the guys that I actually will look at and be like, dude, this makes me want to go out and take some pictures.
Right, exactly.
That's any good ones.
Next time I'm gonna do this before. I'm gonna have people like ask me questions and then we can try to answer them. Somebody said, Guy from the UK. He's a frequent on our stream. He says, would James sell images from Instagram for Mac / PC wallpaper?
I would indeed.
You would indeed.
Yeah, just gotta shoot me. I've actually done that a few times. I've had people who have bought pictures from me to put on their website.
Don't you sometimes get people like, I love this photo. I screenshotted it and put it on my background, and you're just like,
so many times I've had people who are like, and a lot like if you're my friends and you do that, it's
if
fine.
I want a picture of yours on my background, I'm taking it.
I'm not even gonna tell you.
I'm not
gonna, and that's how it always is. I always see it. Is what it'll be. It'll be like someone's phone will be on a table and it'll light up and I see a photo and I'm like, you motherfucker. Like,
not flattered at all.
I guess like I should be. Like, no. Like, but it's part of me. I'm like, you could have messaged me, bro. Did you screenshot that?
Right.
If you screenshotted that, delete it right now, and I'll send you the original. Don't you fucking
I'll send you a better quality.
But, like, I screenshotted this off of Instagram. I would throw up. I would throw up right in front of whoever says that.
If you guys have any questions related to photography, how do you do a vocal fry? I'm not trying to do vocal stuff on this podcast. We'll wait for a vocalist to come do. And I don't even know what the vocal fry thing means. I don't know any vocal terms. I don't know things. I just do the vocals. Desiree says, don't be afraid to try out new ideas, new lightings. Don't be hurt because some people can be harsh, but it's all in good faith. Okay, he's replying to somebody for tips. Oh. Any tips for new photographers? This is from Tyler, that is a new photographer, who, by the way,
nailed those.
Never touched a camera until I took him on tour and taught him how to use the camera. And
he threw it together. You got some
fucking threw it down, bro. Like, honestly. And he's excited to learn more. He caught the camera bug for sure. So
keep the camera bug.
Any tips for him? Tips for new photographers?
Yeah.
And guys, if you have any questions, now's the time. We're going through questions. Anybody listening in the chat, toss us some questions in, and we'll get them answered.
No, I'd say my biggest advice is like, if you're really passionate about it and you're really gonna be a photographer, be a photographer. If you're gonna start this journey, if you're gonna put the money down, you're gonna buy a camera, and you set it down, don't set it down. Like,
just use it.
Keep going.
And do it. Right.
Don't stop, because there was times where I've had these bad shoots where afterwards I was just like, you know what, maybe I'm just gonna hang my hat and I'm just gonna put it down. But then it's like I look at all this, like the last year for me, like I've been able to go to Tennessee, Montana. I've taken pictures.
We're just getting started with the travel.
And I'm just getting started with this. And it's like, I wouldn't have got here if the one person who told me, you shouldn't be doing this, if that would have resonated any more with me than I let it, then I wouldn't have been doing this. And I wouldn't have been able to do these crazy things. I wouldn't have been able to go face to face with a fucking bison, which, by the way,
quit your job too.
Yeah. I, you know, like everything is completely changed. My life has went from this, you know, selling my soul. And that's what I used to say every day. When you'd ask me what I was up to,
Selling my soul.
I'm selling my soul, man. I'm just getting rid of it, but keep going after it. Keep putting the work into it because it pays off in the end.
Yeah. I would say, like, a big thing for me, like, when I was starting off was, like, and I feel like I do this with, like, everything. Like, I asked why too much. Like, I want to know why. Why is it called aperture? Like, I think too deep about these dumb things, right?
That's a rough one.
Why is it aperture? Why is it this? Why is it that? And with photography, I was like, you know what? Because I've looked up stuff before. I took a photography class in high school, a digital photography class in high school, and I was like, I'm not gonna do that with this. I'm gonna try to just. This is what this button does, and it just fucking does it. So just
do it.
Figure it out. And like there is a little bit of the why you have to learn with the aperture stuff and everything, but like don't spend too much time on that stuff. Like figure out that it makes it brighter or darker, and then fucking go.
Yeah.
Figure out that white balance means bluer or oranger photo, and then just fucking go. And once you figure out those like three things, like the ISO, aperture, white balance, shutter speed.
You got those. You're pretty set.
You're on your fucking way. You know what I mean?
Just don't ever. Another pro fact: don't ever shoot on auto ISO.
Don't ever use auto anything if you can avoid it,
and
unless you're doing street photography.
Well, that's what if
auto shutter.
Like, maybe I've had people who I'll stop watching them on YouTube because they say that they have auto settings on some stuff, and I'm like, I don't look at it like that. I look at but I want to be in control of everything. Right. I'm like, I want to set my shutter, ISO, and aperture. Like, I have those in my head. I already know what I want them to be as I get there. Like, when I take my first shot, I'm like, I have a general idea.
Right.
I don't ever want the camera to take control out of anything, because the minute the camera starts doing that, that's the same reason I don't do any online, like, I don't go to any teachers of photography. Mm-hmm. I start shooting like them. I don't want to shoot like anybody else. I want to shoot like James. And the way I'm going to shoot like James is I'm going to take pictures that I'm going to make exactly how they are. Right. I'm going to set the eye, like if I want a grainy look and I want it to be...
You're going to control everything.
You know, yeah.
That makes sense. And then you can't blame anyone but yourself when it doesn't look
exactly. Right. You know, and if I have anything on auto, it's going to be... that camera.
Right, exactly. And then you're not learning from your mistakes,
yeah.
Really. Anything else for new photographers?
It gets more expensive the longer you go.
Yeah.
It's like dating a girl. Or maybe dating a guy. I don't know.
With photography, guess I know a guy says, with photography, how do you know when filtering is too much and when it takes away the color and contrast to the image? Or takes away the color contrast to the image. So I think you're maybe saying, like, when do you know when something's, like, over-edited?
That's kind of how I'm reading it.
Yeah, like, when do you know when you're like, oh, that's too fake or that's too much?
I go 100% off skin tone. Skin
tone, okay. I'm looser, but for me, it's more like I want this to look punchy, and I want it to have like emotion and effect. But I'm trying to when I'm editing, I'm trying to make the image look like what I know it looked like what I know. Like when you snap a photo of like a deer with some trees and some grass, the deer is gonna look pretty, just kind of gray because of the way that raw photos look. And basically when you take a raw photo and you put it in a computer program, it's like you're putting in, like, you know, a coloring book when like the lines are there, but you have to color stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that's a really dumb way to put it, but it's kind of like a coloring book where the outline is there and you have to go in and kind of paint the colors.
Yeah.
And you can either paint them really crazy, like vibrant, or you can paint them the way that they were kind of more realistically. And that's kind of what I try to do is like I try to relive like what it was like when I was looking at it. And now I get to a point, I don't know if you can relate to this, but I shoot to edit.
Oh, 100%.
And so I'm looking at a shot before I even press the shutter button.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know how I'm going to edit this. I know what I'm going to do with this. And so I think that you get to that point and it makes things a little bit easier.
100%.
And you just go off of skin tone, huh?
A lot of it is skin tone.
Because it's easy to tell when somebody's too orange or pale, right?
And I have a lot of time and energy spent into learning about color science specifically. I spent probably a good 4 or 5 months just learning about what do I need to do to pull a subject from the background. What do I need to do? What colors go together? What colors don't go together? What colors are like, if you look at one, what are you going to see? And I start looking at every single color in a picture where it's like, I don't stop at one slider. Every single slider for the colors gets touched because I'm taking the background out. I'm putting the person forward. I'm changing the saturation to be more, and now I'm at a point now where I understand how exposure affects color. And I can actually, like, that last
how
photo
much
that I did,
light is gonna, if you have less light on a color, it's gonna make the color more saturated.
Exactly.
Versus if
And then when you toss in more of that exposure, and a lot of the times what I'll do is if I have someone who's too orange, I'll bring the shadows down.
Just bring that light down.
I'll bring
a little
all
bit.
the shadows, and then I'll raise the exposure.
Right. The
And
highlights.
and that's what I did with this last set that I did with the girl on the bench. Is that I recognize that she stands out so much from the background already, that her face was coming out super, super orange. So I was able to pull up the exposure to get that kind of like light hitting the side of her face, but also not losing, like when I hit that exposure bump, it took all of that orange and it softened it up to a really nice.
And this is
skin
really
tone.
tough because she's wearing a fucking orange
Yeah. So
sweater.
Trying
So
to
it's
make
like,
it so that I didn't lose the orange that was in that.
right, without having to go in and draw like masks around this and stuff like that.
Well, I did a little. You can even see I did some masking on her face to kind of make her pop. Actually, I did it pretty well. If you really were to like tear that image apart, you could see all the little things that I photoshopped.
These are straight up like, these look great, dude.
See, like now, like I'll show you what I mean when I tear apart
The
my work.
tones here though is really nice. These like autumn
Yeah,
tones
super
of,
kind of, and they're kind of like nice, and they don't hit too hard, but they do kind of, they make you feel a
it's
little
not
warm.
too teal and orange, but it is.
So like with this one, I see all the hair on the sides, and I could have fixed that, but I didn't.
What hair on the sides? Like this?
Yep, all that on the sides there.
Yeah,
Absolutely
I
unacceptable
see-
for me.
I
That's
see
like,
what you're saying.
But that's like a perfectionist thing. No one else is going to look at that and see that. I'm going
Right.
to see that, and I'm going to be
Yeah, I
like,
didn't
that's why it
notice
doesn't
it.
look perfect. But if you look at the other one, I actually photoshopped that one to be clearer so that you can't see all
see.
the...
Yeah.
But when you break it down, you're like, oh, I can actually kind of see where you started to touch
Where
some
you
shit up.
Touch that up, yeah.
And
I
same
see.
with that one.
But
That one-
that's that perfect look, that Sports Illustrated Vogue magazine look.
That's
yeah.
one of the things that I noticed, that when you're shooting people, if you're shooting a female and her hair is sticking up, work to take care of that.
Yeah.
If you bring that down, and it doesn't take a ton, right? Just a little bit of, take it into Photoshop, use the stamp tool. Just do that and play with it, and all of a sudden you're going to look at a way better situation.
Desiree said she fine AF, no cap.
No cap. Oh my goodness.
She is a model. But yeah, so
She's actually done by you, Desiree.
yeah. Oh, she's in Salem. Right on.
Albany area.
Albany area, right on. Would James get into sports photography? Ooh, interesting question.
I did some
And if so, what sport?
Yeah, I did some UFC stuff, and I would do that again.
Not for the UFC.
Not
Just
for
some
the UFC.
MMA shit.
Some amateur fighter. I
boxing.
know a guy who owns a gym, and I did some photos for him. I actually did some product photos for him because he released a bag.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Those
and
look
now
good.
it's on fucking ringside. What's up?
Yeah.
But that would be probably the route that I would go, is getting some fight sports and doing something of that nature. Because it's definitely something that I enjoy watching.
I've been trying to reach out to like people that do that. Like I found the guy who like took a couple of the like
Big fights.
the big shots of the year last year, like Jorge Masvidal getting knocked out by Kamaru Usman, and like
That's where
I'm big into
UFC.
UFC, like huge into fighting, and I train jiu-jitsu a little bit too at the gym, and like I really want to get into that world, and I know that like I'll never be a fighter because I don't want to get injured that way, and I can't, like, if I gave away all my camera shit, just ate chicken and rice and went to the fighting gym, that's like, I know that I probably could take a fight and get my ass kicked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, on TV, but it's like, or not even at the Roseland, but I think that the way that I can combine my passion for that is by taking pictures of it. And I would love to get like a press pass for UFC event. Like, God, like what do I have to? Whose dick do I have to suck?
Oh, I'll go extra. I'll go.
Oh my
twisty
God,
turvy.
dude.
I'll put Pop Rocks in my mouth. I don't care.
Exactly.
I'm like, get over here, Dana.
Guy says motocross or drift car racing would be rad.
I know a lot of people in the drift car scene. Not really a scene that I want to get into. I started, so a little bit more backstory on me. I actually started in the car scene a lot.
So once you took that picture of your car, you were like, okay, this is
something that I thought at first, my lane. I was like, I'm going to be a professional car photographer.
Which you are. I mean,
that's true. Dodge posted my pictures.
Dodge has posted your pictures.
I've have 3 or 4 different published works that have my car in them because I went out doing car model shots. So like I've done that. Drift car racing is a super oversaturated market that I'm not super into. Motocross, I would say yes, more so.
Right.
I can get behind. I could see like artistically. Motocross, I can see
the dust
kicking up.
Yeah.
Some
or
like
rally
mud.
cars.
Oh my God, yeah. Just
sick.
something to really
that
get like,
and you could take like product photography of like helmets and shit.
Oh yeah,
there's a whole avenue there of
a
like
whole fun bit
ideas where everyone's slamming their car and taking pictures of those cars with the wheels
and
the
cambered and all
side.
that. Of your Dodge soon, a big
smoky burnout pic of your Dodge
definitely
soon.
Not.
Ooh.
Oh, the tires.
This man's got bills, bro.
I ripped through my first set of tires.
Oh yeah, your tires like don't work.
I'm on my 3rd set now of tires, but I mean I guess that's a set a year.
Right.
But that first set of tires.
Maybe big burnouts in the row.
Oh my God.
Kenny's Camaro.
Really, Camaro.
Yeah.
I just need to get some meaty tires to do burnouts, but I've done some burnout pictures before.
Yeah. How'd they turn out? Yeah. Not your thing.
The one that I did, the guy burnout was clutch. I did do one really cool one.
I feel like with photography stuff, generally, it's like you've gotta be. For me, it has to be something like you know, like with people will be like sometimes I need money or like you know what I mean. Like I'm like fuck, I should probably start making some money. And somebody's like, hey, will you take pictures of this and that? And I'm like, I don't want to. You know what I mean? Like I just won't do it if I don't like. If I'm not fucking, I don't love it. I don't want to. No.
Yeah, that's like.
And even for doing stuff for clients, like when I was talking about how I'd like to just do my own stuff, like there is still a lot of client work that I love. If you have a product, I like to shoot pictures of product. That's like where I shine. Food, I like taking pictures of food, even though I don't do that very often, but I do that pretty well. And I've gotten my color editing down, so it's not too orange, too ugly. It looks like real. And like it's fun for me. But it's like, you know, somebody like pictures of a baby. I don't even want to be around a baby because like babies are fragile and I'm scared of them. You know what I mean? But like they're cute. But I'm like, you know, Jesus Christ, like I'm gonna break this thing. I know, it's like a piece of china.
I definitely have the types that I'm like I don't really. Well, it's boudoir for me.
Oh yeah, like
a lot of the times I'm pretty.
What is boudoir?
It's just lingerie.
Lingerie.
It's
okay.
The whole art form is styled around empowering women and the body and beautiful and that's fine and I get it. I just don't like to do it because a lot of the times when people are doing a photo shoot like that, or it also falls into the same category whenever someone says, I just want to do a photo shoot to boost my self-confidence, I won't take that client. I'll tell them no the second they tell me that, even if they're like, well, no, that's not what I meant. No. Because the last time I did that, I got shit on hard.
Was that the story?
That was the
where
one
the girl said you were like jazzed on the photos, and then she was like,
I hate this. She was like, I was crying all night.
Yeah.
Don't even think about giving me a free shoot because I'm going to pay someone. I've already paid someone to fix your mistakes. You need to sell your camera and you need to quit doing this.
No.
Just full daggers in the heart. And you know what I did?
Shit.
I put my fucking camera in my backpack. I threw my backpack in the closet and I worked a shit ton of security overtime. I was like, wow, I'm not doing this.
I remember you telling me about that. I don't think it was when it happened. I think you told me about it.
I was ready to pack up and leave. I was done. I was like, this is it.
And it was like, wasn't it all? It was the pictures weren't bad. It was like on her. It was a mental thing. It was a self-image
issue, which is fine, and it's fine to have that.
That sucks. It's like you can't help with that.
Yeah, and it felt like, dude, the minute I woke up,
and you know that the next photographer got that shit too, probably.
Yeah,
he got nothing.
And I was
anyone can do here.
Super destroyed, and I was like, dude, maybe I'm fucking up. And then it was Kendall's girlfriend. I was like,
Kara,
can we just go run through this? like, I have a track that I run, and it was the whole reason I was like super destroyed because I've done that photo shoot before. I was like, I've done this run, like I have this route planned out for this. It's for a city style model shoot. Like,
nobody I know has more pins dropped on their phone than
oh my God, my map is...
You've got the Google Maps.
I sent a screenshot to a model, and I was like, hey, we could meet here in Longview. And I'm like, just ignore Portland, because Portland is all just blue pins.
Yeah, exactly.
From all the different locations I have. Actually, I just put one on the way here. I was going to tell you. There's a Bando, like, right up the road. Nice. That I think we should actually go check out after this. I already figured out where we should go.
We're going to go take pictures after this because we're all juiced up right now.
And yeah, I marked it, and I'm like, we're definitely hitting that.
I mean, dude, we've been going on our first podcast ever. I would say I had a couple moments where I had to look at my notes and stuff, but I would say, and the chat can tell me if I'm wrong, but I think we did good, man. I think we did pretty good. 2.5 hours on our first run.
Flew thread.
With nothing really. I mean, this is not rehearsed. It's just us being us.
Just vibing and
we always said that we wanted to do this, and we finally did it.
And we finally sat down.
And it'll be a regular thing that we'll have you on here more, and we'll talk more about stuff, and maybe we'll go on some adventures together, and then we'll have more stories to talk about.
We can do anything. We could get our laptops in here.
But I think this has been a great first one, and you look. What does that say? You did good, James.
No, James sucked.
Oh, James sucked. Shut up, Rodney. Nobody asked you.
First podcast ever watched.
But I'm gonna try to have Kendall on here, and then I want to do one together, like we talked about. Get the Three Kings podcast going together, because it like little special episode that comes up every once in a while, because I know that we are all pretty funny together. So. But I love you, James. And do you have anything else you want to plug? Anything you want to talk about? We'll throw all your links in the chat here before we round out. But anything at all that you want to plug? Like, what are you trying? What are you booking right now?
I'm booking weddings for the year, family photo shoots, portraits. So if anyone's interested in that stuff, you can message me through any of my social medias, which will be posted. Good old Jimothy445, Creatively Candid Media, all that jazz.
Right on. Where can people find your contact information on your website? You have a website?
My website is creativelycandidmedia.com. That has some stuff. Rodney just posted it in the chat there. Thank you, sir.
Nice. He's
He's
co-modding. He's co-modding right now.
He's just
I think Grumpy's at work. So
the co-mod's perfect.
But do you have a plethora of prints available?
Yeah, my prints you can actually find through my Instagram, on my Instagram page. That's where the link takes you, I think, is to my print shop, not my actual website, just because Instagram is more for selling my prints and Facebook is more for client work.
Right on. And any last words of advice for people trying to get into photography, other than or people that are doing photography that aren't that are still kind of slaves to their day job? You know what I mean?
Just be ready. Like, if you're truly passionate about something and you're gonna put in the work for it, just do it and chase it. And worst case scenario, you'll get fired. And
it might be the best thing that's ever happened to you.
The best thing that ever happened to you. And you'll be able to finally take a little bit and grab the bull of life by the horns and steer it to where you want to go.
Hell yeah, Jimbo. Well, we love you, man. We'll talk to you soon. This has been the first episode of the GORCAST.
GORCAST, boom.
And hopefully we'll do it all over again here next week. Stay tuned, you guys. And we'll throw some links in the chat here. You guys have a good one. GG's.